Please welcome today's honorary captains. Tony Sperano's wife, Jeanette. Jaguars assistant offensive line coach, Tony Sperano Jr. Daughter, Ryan. And unable to be in attendance due to coaching duties in California, son, Andy Sperano.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. At center field on the Norseman logo, there you see Tony Sperano Jr., assistant offensive line coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. As we conclude the celebration for now of the memory of Vikings offensive line coach Tony Sperano, Sean Hockley is the referee today, and he will be handling the coin toss. Family members and friends of Tony Sperano at US Bank Stadium today.
Tails, heads, tails, heads. What's your call? He's called heads. Heads is the call. It is a heads. You have won the toss. Jacksonville has won the toss and is elected to defer. You'd like the football? Which way would you like to kick? Kick that way. Put your backs to your goals, please, man. Minnesota will receive on this end. Good luck, gentlemen.
The voice of Sean Hockley, you may recognize the last name. He is Ed Hockley's son. His loquacious father spent 28 seasons in the National Football League as an official, was promoted to referee in '92. Ed Hockley worked Super Bowls 32 and 38. His son Sean spent his first National Football League season in 2014 as a side judge, and he's a referee for the 2018 season as Tony Sperano Jr. shares hugs and love with members of his Jacksonville Jaguars coaching staff. The Vikings and the Kirk Cousins-led offense will be on the field first as Mike Hughes, the rookie from Central Florida, runs out to retrieve the opening kickoff. For more, let's go to the sidelines. Former Vikings linebacker Ben Lieber.
Thanks a lot, PA. Yeah, last week we saw what this offense can do, opening holes in the run game and getting the receivers, especially Stephon Diggs, involved. Now, I want to see what this offense can do for Kyle Rudolph. It's a very tight end friendly offense, but he's coming off an offseason ankle surgery, so he's healthy, and now he's in a system that should benefit him. And for more on another pass catcher, here's our Greg Coleman.
Yeah, I want to talk about Laquan Treadwell in his third year out of Ole Miss. Disappointing his first few years in the league, but coaches were looking for a lot more than 20 receptions last year. This year, totally different situation. He's been a pleasant surprise in camp, being noticed by players and coaches alike. He told me he had to learn what it meant to be a pro, how to respond versus reacting out of emotion. I still love his passion. I still believe there's a lot of upside, and the sky's the limit, and hopefully he'll pay big dividends for the purple. Now, he'd be in good company with guys like Diggs, Thielen, and Rudolph. Now back to a couple of guys that got nothing but upside, Paul and Pete.
All right, Greg, let's see what kind of upside Mike Hughes has as he retrieves the opening kickoff and runs it out to the 25-yard line. And Kirk Cousins makes his home debut. It's the preseason, but it's the home debut for Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins. You know, it was 5 months, 3 days ago. The Vikings signed Cousins to a 3-year, $84 million deal. Against Denver in his debut, 4 of 4 with a touchdown to Stephon Diggs. He'll work out of the shotgun, the aforementioned Diggs to the right outside of the 30. 3 receivers left, and Cousins is back to pass. He'll dump right to Latavius Murray, caught at the 30. Flag comes in. Latavius Murray had a good debut against the Denver Broncos. He ran for 43 yards on 4 carries. Now here is Sean Hockley take one. We get to see if he is as loquacious as his dad.
Before the pass was thrown, holding by the defense, number 23. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic, first down.
Pete Bursich Sean Hockley was 9 adjectives and 62 words short of emulating his father Ed.
Well, the NFL is definitely a family affair, and he's definitely doing it his own way because he's not as descriptive as his dad, no question about it.
So it's 1st and 10 from the Vikings 34. Cousins out of the shotgun, looks right, sees nothing, pats the ball. It's bobbled in the air. It was nearly intercepted, and was nearly intercepted by a member of the Jags, Don Carey. That'll make it 2nd and 10, just underway. The Vikings scored 42 points in their preseason opener against the Denver Broncos. The Jacksonville Jaguars were 10-6 last year. They won the AFC South, won a couple of playoff games, and led New England with 14:52 to go in the AFC title game at Foxborough. Then Brady did Brady things, and the Patriots played here in Super Bowl 52. 2nd down, handoff Latavius goes to grinding to the left side. And on 2nd and 10, Latavius, who played 2 years of collegiate ball at Central Florida with Blake Bortles, he will fall ahead for a gain of 1 as David Morgan departs. Laquan Treadwell enters.
It's going to be a big test today for our offensive line, Paul, especially for guys like Avion Collins, who are stepping in for the Rashad Hill, who is out. So he's going to get a look at an extremely fast and physical Jacksonville defensive line.
First 3rd down of the game, Kirk Cousins, 4-time NFC Offensive Player of the Week in his days with Washington, has 3 receivers right in a triangle formation. Kyle Rudolph left. Cousins pats the ball, passes over the middle, and it's incomplete. Kyle Rudolph was the intended receiver. Longtime Cowboy Barry Church was on the coverage as Ryan Quigley walks in to punt it to the Jags.
Now that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars do so well, Paul. They come up, they show a blitz up front, drop the linebacker out, and Kyle Rudolph had some separation. It looked like that throw was just a little bit outside of his arm reach to pull that thing down and get the 1st down.
DJ Chark, the rookie 2nd rounder from LSU, is deep for the Jaguars. No score, preseason game number 2. Check that, that's not Chark. That's Quigley kicking left to right as we see it, and he gets the punt away. And the punt goes to Mickens, who walks up on it, and he'll try it at the 21, far side. C.J. Ham, a starting fullback for the Vikings, brings down the retriever after a 44-yard punt and a 4-yard return. How about the Jaguars last year? AFC title game. New England wins 24-20. Bortles in that game, walking into the game now.
During the kick, holding on number 55 of the receiving team. That 10-yard penalty would be enforced from the end of the kick. 1st down.
293 and a touchdown. Leonard Fournette, 76 yards and a touchdown. Fournette had 4 rushing touchdowns in the postseason. Jags win the division at 10-6, sneak by Buffalo at home, win a high-scoring game at Heinz Field, and then lead Tom Brady in the 4th quarter of the AFC title game.
Yeah, that win at Pittsburgh, I think, is really what put them on the map, Paul. But they're not going to sneak up on anyone this year. And Blake Bortles, what I like about him as a quarterback, he's a very cool customer, very composed in the pocket.
It's 1st and 10, Jaguars from their own 11. First offensive series, Bortles back to pass, whips it out left, caught Marquise Lee. And Xavier Rhodes is all over him, likewise for linebacker Ben Gedeon. At the 16-yard line, it's a quick-hitting gain of 4 yards. 2nd and 6 for the Bortles-led Jags.
Paul, in a game like today, when you have 2 very good defenses going against each other, this becomes a field position game. So the defense wants to pin Jacksonville down here, and special teams become such a huge part of this game with giving your offense the best chance to score from good field position.
Couple of tight ends, receivers left and right. Leonard Fournette, 2nd year from LSU. He's the tailback, about 7 yards behind Blake Bortles. Play clock's down to 4. Barr cheats to the line of scrimmage. Handoff. Fournette. Play strung out. He gets nothing and runs into Harry the Hitman. Harrison Smith brings him down at the 14. It's a tackle for loss by Harrison Smith. It'll be 3rd and 6 for the Jaguars.
During this week, Paul, Mike Zimmer talked about, with Anthony Barr being out last week, how important he is to the defense. He sneaks up to the line of scrimmage to show that he's blitzing, and you could see the offense accounting for him on every single play. Great pressure by the Viking defense, gap sound, penetrating, and getting Jacksonville to lose some yardage on that play.
Robinson, Sheldon Richardson, Linval Joseph, and Daniil Hunter up front for the Vikings. Bortles, shotgun, empty backfield. 3 receiving options to the left, 2 to the right. On third down, Bortles looks left, passes over the middle. It's bobbled again, and it falls to the turf at the 15. Oh, Mackenzie Alexander, 20, nearly had an easy interception. The Jags are punting.
Paul, that ball hit him right between the 2 and the 0. If that was a spear, he'd be dead right now. We had 2 DBs get a chance at that football, but it's the preseason. And let's face it, DBs are just receivers who can't catch, right? You're in high school, you're a receiver, you can't catch. What do they make you, a DB? But a great anticipatory play by Mackenzie Alexander. You just got to finish it and turn that into points. Like I said, field position here is a premium.
Logan Cook punting to Marcus Sherrills, who has the most punt return touchdowns in the history of Vikings football. Here comes Minnesotan Marcus from his own 33. Gets a block from Anthony Harris, gets the corner at the 40. In front of his bench, he's thrown down at the 43-yard line by James O'Shaughnessy, a tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Welcome to US Bank Stadium. It's the Vikings and the Jags in 2018. First and 10, Minnesota, no score. Each offense has had the ball. A couple of penalties in the game so far. Welcome to those of you on Fox 9 nationwide via NFL Network and via the flagship FM 100.3 KFAN. Kirk Cousins under center, play action. Our quarterback just got buried. It was a big sack by Yannick Ngakoue, and a flag comes in late. Yannick Ngakoue, formerly a third-round pick from Maryland.
I don't think Hochuli is going to have any of that. He's going to take control of this game and penalize that Jacksonville defense. You hate to see that. You make a big play, you don't want to go backwards. Wait a minute.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct by the defense, number 91.
Right.
That 15-yard foul was enforced from the dead ball spot. First down.
Dante Fowler's back watching in Jacksonville saying, see, stuff like that happens, man.
It really does. I mean, you know, it had to have been seen as an obscene gesture. I mean, a sack dance is a sack dance, but that one there, I think, kind of crossed the line, so to speak, and he was penalized for it. So that's where you got to be smart as a player, Paul.
The Jaguars are operating sans Dante Fowler and one of the better corners in the NFL, Jalen Ramsey, both suspended by the team. They didn't take part in the joint practices. They are not here today. So it's first and 10, Minnesota from its own 48. Cousins under center. The handoff goes to Latavius Murray, and he jump cuts to the right across the 50, falls into Jags territory, and he falls ahead for a gain of 4. Dalvin Cook is not playing today. Our Getting Social segment offers this tweet from @MEIS_95. It's got to be Dalvin Cook for a breakout season. Now, he was injured in this building in the 4th game against the Lions. I think he broke out before that against the Saints on Monday Night Football.
I agree with you, Paul. He was having a heck of a year, and all-around back, the receiving and coming out of the backfield. That was what surprised me, but total yardage was a great year.
2nd and 6, Cousins with a laser right. Caught Laquan Treadwell, turns it up between the hash marks, hit at the 40, and taken down right around the 41-yard line for a gain of 7. Now, with Dalvin Cook not playing, Pete, he didn't play last week against Denver. He's not playing today. He might play next Friday against the Seattle Seahawks, from what I understand. But this is all precautionary off the ACL to get him all amped up and ready and be safe into that Niners game.
You're absolutely right, and you want to get him to play a little bit. You don't want his first live hit to come during the regular season. It's just for ball security and things like that. So I think they're being very prudent with how they're handling Dalvin Cook.
Offset eye right, handoff Latavius Murray, jumps over a Jag at the 35. Oh, he dropped the ball, and it's up for grabs at the 29-yard line. Latavius dropped the ball. Vikings ball, they hold on to it. A serendipitous first down for the Minnesota Vikings. Latavius dropped the ball.
Paul, this is something that is so underrated. You look at the hustle of players. There's an offensive lineman by the name of Danny Isadora who gets his block and then gets downhill and is able to jump and get on this football. Riley Reif is there as well. That's hustle. That's effort. That's something that you don't need any talent to do. Now, Dalvin, I mean, the fumble is not a good thing, but I'm telling you, Latavius Murray, Paul, looks good when he puts that foot down and heads north and south.
Rosemount, Minnesota native Tom Compton with the recovery. Cousins shotgun first down, hands it to Latavius, flag on the play. He looks left, sees nothing, swings back right, taken down at the 31-yard line, and he was tackled by Avery Jones, loss of 1. Another penalty. Kind of a sloppy start to preseason game 2.
Personal foul, chop block by the offense, number 63. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. Replay. First down.
That's Danny Isadora. He's playing right guard because predicted right guard Mike Remmers was rolled up on nearly 3 weeks ago, very early in training camp. He has yet to play in preseason games.
Paul, that block was illegal because Cornelius Edison just had a hand on him. You're not allowed to high-low a player. And that's exactly what happened. If Isadora didn't put his hand out, then Edison would not have been flagged for that cut block.
So it's 1st and 25. Cousins out of the shotgun. Swing left to fullback. Minnesota native C.J. Ham lowers the helmet at the 31. Another flag. Holy cow, that's like 5 penalties in the first 6 minutes of the game. Mackenzie Alexander dropped a cinch interception. Latavius dropped the ball. We've had a personal foul. Sloppy Saturday in Minneapolis at U.S. Bank Stadium so far. There is the behemoth Calais Campbell lobbying for his team. One of the most impressive football specimens you will ever see, Calais Campbell.
Personal foul, lowering the helmet to initiate contact by the defense number 21. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. First down.
But this Hockey League staff's a little tight right now, right?
Well, I was going to say, in typical Hockey League fashion, they're calling a lot of penalties, and this is the one that going into the season we as fans wanted to know how they were going to call this. And you know, when you look at the corner in the situation that he was in, AJ Bowie, I'm not sure what else he could do other than take a helmet to his chest.
Latavius Murray, the single set. 5 penalties in the game for 60 yards. Offset eye left behind Cousins. 2 receivers right, they're both good. Stephon Diggs slot right, pass right to Adam Thielen. He short hopped him at the 21. It'll be 2nd and 10. Down to the sidelines, main man Ben Lieber.
Yeah, Pete, I'm just going to echo the same thing. I'm so confused and a little disgusted by the whole rule. When I watched that play live, I thought C.J. Ham was actually going to get flagged for lowering his helmet. What's a defender supposed to do when a ball carrier as big as C.J. Ham does, when he uses his head and his body to protect himself and also use it as a weapon to try to run you over? Are you supposed to just stand there flat-footed and take it right in the stomach? I don't think so.
Cousins shotgun. Kyle Rudolph motion to the left, back to the right. Latavius gets the carry out of the shotgun, stumbles, taken down, loss of 1. It's a TFL. Calais Campbell was in the mix, former Cardinal. And Latavius Murray gets up behind replacement center Cornelius Edison. He's 67. Left guard Tom Compton, former Bear and Redskin, a free agent acquisition in the offseason. He's 79. Second year Hurricane Danny Isadora is 63. He plays right guard because the Vikings lost to left guard Nick Easton for the season. Pat Elflein still recovering from an injury in the NFC title game, and Mike Remmers has been out a couple of weeks. So it's 3rd and 11. Vikings 0 of 1 on 3rd down. 3rd and 11 from the Jags 27. Cousins shotgun. Jacksonville rushes 4. Kirk stands tall in the pocket. Dumps underneath. Caught Treadwell. And he's taken down after a gain of 1 at the 26. That's the bad news. The good news, the Vikings get a field goal opportunity, and this time it will be Kai Forbath. Auburn rookie Daniel Carlson got all of the field goal and extra point duties at Denver. He went 2 of 2 on field goals, hit 1 from 57, and 4 of 4 on extra points. Now the veteran Kai Forbath with his opportunity to respond. He's in his 7th year from UCLA. Kevin McDermott snaps, punter Ryan Quigley holds. This is a 44-yard try, right hash snap spot. And Kai Forbath's kick swings to the left and between the uprights. And the Minnesota Vikings, midway through the first quarter, have claimed a 3-0 lead. U.S. Bank Stadium, the destination for the second preseason. Our high-V rookie profile. It's Holton Hill, number 37, undrafted from Texas, cornerback. What do you think?
Well, Paul, you don't see a lot of 6'3", 196-pound corners go undrafted. So he had some issues in high school, I think, or college, excuse me, that kept him out. But what a talent! And when we have a guy like Xavier Rhodes as a footprint of how we want our corners to look, size and speed-wise, he fits that bill perfectly.
Rookie Daniel Carlson gets the kickoffs this week, at least to this point. And that one bounced at the 13 and nearly was recovered by a member of the Minnesota Vikings. That was Craig James steaming down. Mike Prefer's special teams crew got a little sneaky there.
Well, Paul, the thing is, the interesting part is going to see if this was done on purpose, because a different kickoff, you find a hole, you try to drop that thing in there like a mortar shot. The ball takes a beautiful backspin. And
very nice.
Man, we were, Tocho, so close.
Yeah.
to recovering that. Imagine that on a turnover. You get the ball 1st and 10 back at the 20. You have an opportunity. The Vikings have had a couple opportunities at turnovers, and we haven't capitalized on them. Yeah,
that was Jack Tocho, converted corner, 4 tackles, 3 passes defensed, and a TFL at Denver. Trying to make that final 53. Bortles back to pass, swings it over the middle to Leonard Fournette. He's a handful. Look out. Turns it up to the 20, to the 25. Leonard Fournette with a catch and run of 9 yards. Ben Lieber.
Yeah, guys, the nickel battle just got a lot more interesting. Mackenzie Alexander, that last play where he dropped the interception, injured his left ankle. He's gone back for x-rays. Still don't have a status update whether he's questionable or we expect him back. But that's probably going to open the door for Mike Hughes, and hopefully he can make some plays out here with the #1 defense.
And the Vikings win 9 plays, 30 yards, 4.5 minutes. Kai Forbath, 44-yard field goal on a possession. Latavius Murray fumbled, and Tom Compton recovered it. Bortles. Intercepted by Harrison Smith, and here he comes to the 25, and that's where he stopped. Bortles threw it right between the old 2 and the 2, and what Harrison couldn't catch Wednesday at the joint practice, he closed on during the game. Vikings ball.
Paul, this is just an outstanding job of Harrison Smith being a free safety, able to patrol the middle of the field. He reads the eyes of Bortles and comes in. As a defender, that's what you want. You want to be out of the vision of the quarterback, let the quarterback step up, fire a bullet, and Harrison Smith able to capitalize. Paul, that's 1 turnover, but out of 3 that we possibly could have had as a Vikings unit, as an offense, as a defense, as a special teams unit. Now we got to get Cousins to put this ball in the end zone and get up 10-0.
Kirk, 3 of 6, 12 yards, under center. Latavius Murray, the tailback. Adam Thielen right, 2 receivers left. Stephon Diggs, slot left. 1st and 10, Minnesota from the Jags 23 following the turnover. Handoff Latavius. Oh, he dropped the ball. Jags got this one. Calais Campbell fell on it, and guess what? When a guy that size falls on it, it ain't coming out.
Man, that's 2 fumbles by Latavius Murray already, Paul. We weren't fortunate enough to fall on that one, and they're gonna have to take a look at this one on the sideline.
All right, so the Jags turn it over. Vikings give it right back. 3-0 Minnesota from Minneapolis. It's Vikings football. For the Vikings has a microphone on.
I am locked in right now. Yes, sir. Locked in. Oh, come here. Oh, yeah. Shake and bake. Oh, yeah.
Eric Wilton drafted from Cincinnati. A quality special team season last year, and looks really good as a linebacker this year. Gain of 6. Sidelines, Greg Coleman with Joe Berger.
Guys, yeah, Joe, we all just saw a tribute, a very emotional tribute to your former offensive line coach, Tony Sparano. What made Tony so special?
I think he was just passionate about everything he did in life, and you know, that really showed in football his love for the game, and it was contagious in the room. You couldn't help but love the game with him around.
Share with us one of those special moments that you had personally one-on-one with Tony.
Yeah, I think as an older player, you know, you get called up to the office once in a while, talk about football stuff, how things are going, and he would never let me leave the room without asking me how the kids are doing, how the wife's doing. Family to him was so important that, you know, he wouldn't let you leave without asking how they were doing.
Truly a special man.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
Paul, back to you and Pete.
Great job, Greg. Yes, the memory of Tony Sparano celebrated not only today, but really it's a common thread through training camp and will be during the 2018 season. The Vikings offensive line coach died unexpectedly a month ago tomorrow. His son, Tony Sparano Jr., is the assistant offensive line coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Many members of the Sparano family in attendance today. Bortles, encountered by Daniil Hunter, shakes him off, loops it left, and it's incomplete. Flag comes in a game already with 5 penalties for 60 yards.
That's going to be, I think that's going to be an offensive penalty against Niles Paul. He was totally pushing off on Eric Kendricks. And let me say this, Eric Kendricks did a wonderful job in coverage. He saw the bootleg, turned, saw Niles Paul wide open.
Pass interference. Offense
there we go.
81.
Paul, that is an elite play by Eric Kendricks to be able to turn in coverage, to see that tight end running wide open, and he just closed in on him to the point where Paul had to give him the stiff arm to get the distance. So wonderful play by the linebacking core, great play by Eric Kendricks. He's instinctive, and the thing I love about him the most is that he works hard every single day. He's always hustling for the football. He's got a motor that's second to none. I'm glad he's going to be part of the Vikings defense for a number of years.
6 penalties, 70 yards, and we're 10 minutes and change into the game. Holy cow. 1st and 20 for the Jags, trailing by 3. Bortles swings it out right. It's caught by Leonard Fournette. In front of his own bench, dives out at the 40-yard line for a quick gain of 8 yards. Ben Lieber, 6 penalties, 2 giveaways, an easy dropped pick by Mackenzie Alexander. Any idea why this thing's so sloppy?
No, I think these guys are probably just used to playing night games in the preseason. A little bit of an earlier wake-up call, but going back to the takeaways that you talked about, McKenzie drops that interception, but Harrison does come back and get one. That is one area of need, I think, for this defense. To go from great to championship level is to go from near bottom of the league in takeaways to near the top.
2nd and 12, Blake Bortles, 2 receivers left, 1 right. TJ Yeldon's in, pass over the middle, caught, first down. First down to Dante Moncrief, former member of the Indianapolis Colts. It's a gain of 13. Now, these teams practice at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center in joint fashion on Wednesday and Thursday. Practices were pretty physical, very, very well contained, not a lot of trash talking, no fighting. Coaches Zimmer and Marone got together before the practices and said, hey, no chicanery, let's get something done.
Oh, you're absolutely right, and that's smart. That's prudent by both coaches to say, and let their team know that we're here to do some work, not to fight.
First down, toss left, Leonard Fournette, 2nd-year LSU, encountered by several Vikings at the 44, and taken down for no gain. Both those Vikings are good. Daniil Hunter, defensive end, LSU. Anthony Barr, linebacker, UCLA. Barr has been in and out with nagging injuries during training camp. Did not play at Denver, showed up here, Pete.
Yeah, he shows up here, and that's what he can do. He can run sideline to sideline, and trust me, the offenses are looking for him. Paul, you talk about the sloppiness of this game. When there aren't penalties, this is a really tightly contested style of game. No offense is great in big plays. Every time a guy catches a ball, there's a quick guy there to make a tackle. These are 2 solid defenses going at it.
Bortles goes back to pass. He'll dump it left. Caught TJ Yeldon on a screen. Nice play. Turns it up near side, 40, 35. And he shoved out of bounds at the 34. That's another Jaguars first down. It's a gain of 11. And you talk about the tight-knit fashion and or identities of these teams. The Vikings and Jacksonville were 1-2 in the NFL last year in scoring defense. The Jags had 55 sacks, 2nd most in the NFL, 21 picks, 2nd most in the NFL, and the Vikings defense arguably overall was the best defense in the regular season last year. First down, 2.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Minnesota 3, Jacksonville 0. Blake Bortles with a fade right. Guy is there, incomplete. Mike Hughes slipped, and Marquise Lee tried to take advantage of it, but they couldn't close inside the 5. So it's 2nd down.
Well, Mike Hughes in this situation, one-on-one on the outside, he almost bites on the outcut, but then turns himself around and gets north and south, stumbling a little bit. But you can see it in this. You can see it already, Paul. He has the speed to keep up with wide receivers. That affords him a little bit opportunity to make some mistakes.
That 64 you just saw, left guard Chris Reed, a college free agent in 2015 from Minnesota State University, Mankato. Played 16 games with 7 starts. 2nd down, Blake Bortles goes back to pass. It is a middle screen to TJ Yeldon. Turns it up outside the numbers 30-25. Ooh, he makes a Viking miss. 15-10 inside the 5. It'll be 1st and goal for the Jacksonville Jaguars on a wonderfully executed screen and a whiffed tackle by Andrew Sendejo.
Well, Paul, football 101, when you're facing a team that has an outstanding pass rush and you play a lot of zone or man in the background, man to zone, you want to do some screens. If you can get that defensive line, and the defensive line has to be able to feel that, retrace their steps and get some defensive pursuit from behind. And right now, the linemen are getting down, they're picking off our linebackers, and there's just too much of a space between our safeties and our defensive line. And that's why the screens are working.
1st and goal, Jags. Operating to the west side of US Bank Stadium, home of Super Bowl 52. Bortles shotgun, 3 receivers left, 1 right, flag in the end zone.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
13.5 minutes into the game, penalty number 7. Jags back up, 1st and goal.
And they've been all different kinds, for celebrations, for lowering the head on a tackle, for, I mean, just all over the place. And that's what the preseason's for, Paul, to work through those things to try to get yourself ready for the regular season. Now we've got a great red zone opportunity for the Viking defense, and that's why Terrence Newman's in the game.
Ninth play of a possession that's gone 60 yards. Bortles, play action. He's hit, and Blake is sacked. Very gently, but he was sacked. Danielle Hunter with the sack. 2nd and goal, a mile from the end zone, loss of 5.
Well, Blake Bortles is 6'5", 236 pounds, and when Danielle Hunter gets his hand on his jersey, he yanks him down like a rag doll. I mean, that's the strength and the speed of Danielle Hunter, and that's what you love being a right defensive end. You get to get from the backside, you get to hit the quarterback from the backside, and he doesn't get that opportunity that much. But with Everson Griffin out, he's rushing from the blind side.
First preseason sack for Danielle. He had 7 in the regular season last year. Bortles right, incomplete. On 2nd and goal, James O'Shaughnessy, the tight end, was the intended target, playing an extensive amount today because their first tight end, Austin Safarian Jenkins, traveled with the team, but he's not playing. We remember Safarian Jenkins from 2014 at Tampa Bay when he was the tight end there. Overtime, goes to catch the ball, stripped by Barr, 15-10, we walk off winners. 3 receivers left, 1 right. Fournette, the tailback. Deep in the first quarter, 3-0 Minnesota. Each team has turned over the ball once, 3rd down. 3rd and goal from the 15. Bortles on a 3-step drop. Shakes the shoulders, runs away from Linval, runs out to the left. He gets to the 5. Blake gets close to the pylon. Oh, he's down by the goal stripe. Did not get in. He's out of bounds at the 1-yard line as the clock continues to run. Blake Bortles with a 14-yard scamper.
Well, you're okay with the quarterback pulling the ball down. They show blitz. The Vikings show blitz. They drop off into the zone. Bortles sees it. Nothing's there. He pulls that thing down and gets too much yardage, Paul. That's something that you want to. You're a yard away from an absolute disaster on that play.
End of the first quarter. Jacksonville threatening. Minnesota leading. 3-0 Vikings on a Kai Forbath 44-yard field goal. More from US Bank Stadium. 2nd quarter action around the corner on the Vikings Entertainment.
You in blue.
Welcome back to Vikings football, courtesy of the VEN on the Northland Ford dealer scoreboard. 3-0 Vikings. Jags 4th and goal. Blake Bortles had 2 rushing touchdowns last year. Leonard Fournette had 9. He gets the carry, grinds up the middle. Touchdown Jaguars. Leonard Fournette ran for 4 touchdowns in the postseason last year. And the 2nd-year beast from LSU gives the Jags the lead.
Well, Paul, you go back to the last play. They allowed Blake Bortles to pull the ball down and just scramble too far to get to the 1-yard line. And then Jacksonville just says, our guys are bigger and better and badder than yours. And they're able to double team at the point and get that 1 yard. That's where Leonard Fournette is so valuable to this offense. So the Viking defense, they rallied. They stopped them for the most part. But you have to know as a defender, even though it's 3rd down and 1 or 4th down and 1, you can't stop. You have to go in there and give it your all on every single play. So that's one that they're going to look at tomorrow and not be too happy about.
Credit 65, Brandon Linder, the 5th-year Cane, for pushing the pile and assisting Leonard Fournette to the end zone. Early in the 2nd quarter, Jags 7, Vikings 3 on the Vikings Entertainment Network.
Experience what it's like to be a Minnesota Viking as you conquer the TCO Vikings 5K. Join us on Saturday, October 20th at 3 p.m. as you and your friends finish on the 50-yard line at TCO Stadium, the new home of the Vikings. Post-race runners can enjoy a tailgate atmosphere with live music, games, and autographs from Vikings legends. Spaces.
Here are the game stats provided by Sleep Number. Jacksonville leads 7-3. Just went 12 plays, 70 yards, 6 minutes, 25 seconds. Off a Latavius Murray fumble. Blake Bortles threw it right to Harrison Smith. A play later, Murray fumbles. Jags go 12-70. Leonard Fournette with a 1-yard touchdown plunge. Lambeau kicks the ball to the left of rookie Mike Hughes. Straddles the goal stripe. Here he comes to the 5, to the 10, to the 15. Flag comes in, and he's thrown down at the 22-yard line. A return of 22 yards by Hughes, who had 2 kick return touchdowns at Central Florida. Penalties have been en vogue today. 7 total for 75 yards through the first quarter. If you just joined us, the referee Sean Hockley.
Personal foul, lowering the helmet to initiate contact by the kicking team number 81. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
Sean remind you of his father, Ed at all?
No, he's not. Well, the
arms look pretty good.
With the amount of penalties, yes, but how he's describing them, no. Now, Paul, this Viking offense, you look at the numbers, the running game, a couple good runs, but 2 fumbles. They need to have a nice, solid drive here that results in points against a very good Jacksonville defense.
Kirk Cousins selected in the 4th round from Michigan State by Washington in his 7th year from the aforementioned MSU. 3 of 6, 12 yards, and he hands it to Latavius. The Central Florida product by way of the Oakland Raiders dashes up the middle to the 43 for a gain of 4 yards in a game. Once again, Dalvin Cook is not playing, not injury related. It's from a precautionary standpoint. Didn't play a week ago at Denver. Might play Friday against Seattle in the 3rd preseason game. But if he doesn't, big deal, right? He'll be good to go against the Niners.
Well, I think so. I think they're getting him ready in practice. You want to get him a couple hits just before the season starts, but I know against San Francisco, he's going to get a lot of touches.
Cousins, the quarterback, Cornelius Edison, the center. Play action. Kirk on a deep drop. Hit as he throws. Throws left, incomplete. Off the right fingertips of Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen with 2 targets today, but 0 receptions. Adam has 0 preseason receptions so far.
Well, you get a decent, you get the play action pass, Paul. It's downhill. Avion Collins gives up a little bit of pressure, and that's what makes that throw become errant, is that Cousins was unable really to follow through because of the pressure from his backside.
Leon Jacobs with that pressure. 2 receivers right, 1 left. Minnesota 0 of 2 on 3rd down. It's 3rd and 6 from Minnesota's 42-yard line. Cousins shotgun. Jags blitz. Pass left. Incomplete. Diggs thinks he was mugged in a game full of laundry. No flags. Coverage that time by Tyler Patterson for Jacksonville.
Well, and Paul getting another chance to look at it. You can see the defensive back totally has the arm of Diggs. So a penalty that should have been called. Yet another penalty that should have been called. Maybe they're holding on to the flags due to fatigue from all these different penalties that they've called already. But
that was Tyler Patman.
Jacksonville got away with one right there, and it's too bad because the Vikings needed that kind of a drive. And right now, offensively, you can't be feeling too good about how we've looked so far today.
Jaden Mickens deep to retrieve the Quigley punt. Not one of his better presentations unless he gets a good bounce, and he does, to the 12-yard line, and Mickens still gives it a try, and he's thrown down by Marcus Sherrills, one of the best special teamers in the NFL. And we pause. Jags ball, Jags lead. 13:57 to go in the first half. It's Vikings football.
Imagine
U.S. Bank player spotlight. It is Laquan Treadwell in his 3rd year, Peter.
Now, Laquan Treadwell, Paul, this is a big year for him. He upped his number to 25 receptions last year. He's still looking for that first touchdown. That number 3 receiving position is open, and it's all for him if he wants it.
Bortles to Leonard Fournette on first down. 7-3 Jacksonville. It is a gain of 4 yards. Many backups in for the Minnesota Vikings now, including David Perry, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts and New Orleans Saints. Ben Gedeon, starting outside linebacker in the 4-3 base. He's still in. He's the one calling the defensive signals. 2nd-year defensive tackle Jaleel Johnson from Iowa. He's in. Stephen Weatherly. Ade Aruna, rookie from Tulane. Tashawn Bauer not playing today. He's the right defensive end. Against the first Jags offense, Leonard Fournette spins, hit at the 25, and is taken down after a gain of 2. That is Horace Richardson, part of the secondary for the Vikings. Eric Wilson, undrafted last year from Cincinnati, wears 50. He's in. 1st-round rookie Mike Hughes is in. Marcus Sherrills checks in.
Paul, nice job by Eric Wilson getting downhill. I mean, Jacksonville's just trying to run the football on his 2nd-team defense, but they're very, very aggressive up front. So that 2nd crew of linebackers is doing a nice job.
Anthony Harris and Trey Matthews are the safeties. Jacksonville 0 of 2 on 3rd down. Play clock down to 4. Bortles, shotgun. He's going to wheel one left side and rather deep, and it is incomplete at the Vikings 45-yard line. Anthony Harris on the coverage, and Jacksonville is punting after an intended pass to former Redskin Niles Paul.
Well, Niles Paul getting another opportunity to run a deep over route. This time it's a 7 route, and Anthony Harris, who wasn't around last week, comes up with a big play. So he needed that kind of a play. He gets up, he's excited. Nice job by the safeties in coverage, Paul. And that group, that small group of the safeties have looked outstanding today defensively. So you're going to be able to take that away and say, hey, that second front did a good job as well.
Peter, near side, Mike Hughes jamming the gunner as Marcus Sherrills looks to return a punt. That Marcus stumbles as he brings it in, knocked out of bounds at the 41. That could be key as we head into 2018. We'll chat about it later in the game. Hughes playing corner and Hughes playing special team. 3 Jags trivia time presented by Mills Fleet Farm. How many players on the current Vikings roster attended a Minnesota or South Dakota college? Well, there's SDSU by way of Maple Grove, Jake Winicky. So there's one for you. Trevor Siemian, the quarterback, not from Minnesota. Likewise for Mike Boone, who gets the carry around the right side. Undrafted kid from Cincy. In a vicious battle between Boone, Rock Thomas, and Matt Brown for the 3rd tailback job, Mike jumps out with a run of 19.
Well, that's what happens when you get one guy to miss. Now, Mike Boone, I think he fits this offense in the running game very well. We're running a true zone type blocking scheme up front. That means that the offensive linemen are really just running to the left, running to the right, trying to reach, and Hughes keeps his shoulders square, and that is so key through the mesh point, to keep your shoulders square, so if the cutback's available, you can take it.
Former Bronco Trevor Siemian, 4th-year Northwestern, is the quarterback. Back to Boone. Some room up the middle, falls ahead to the 35-yard line. Here's the answer to the Mills Fleet trivia question. Adam Thielen is one of them. Marcus Sherrills is another. Brandon Zylstra not playing today by way of Spicer and Concordia Moorhead. Tom Compton started at left guard, Rosemount High School. C.J. Ham, a Duluth product, played in South Dakota at Augustana. Trevor Siemian against his former team last week, 11 of 17, 165 yards, sacked twice, threw 2 TDs, both to running back Rock Thomas. Kendall Wright, the former Titan and Bear, in motion. Handoff, Boone up the middle, lowers the helmet at the 28-yard line, and with some tough love yardage, falls ahead for a gain of 11 yards. Mike Boone and a Vikings first down.
Now Rock Thomas coming in to give him a break. What I love about Rock Thomas is on the way out, he just gives Boone some love. I mean, this is when you want to get back in there if you're Rock Thomas and say, I'm going to pick up where you left off. But the offensive line using some angles there. Hughes just a wonderful job keeping those shoulders square and finding those creases in the offensive line and the defensive line.
Caleb Jones slot right. Outside of him, fullback C.J. Ham. Tavares King is left. Handoff for Rock Thomas, and he's hit by Ngakoue at the point of attack. Most of the Jags defense is of the 2nd unit variety. Ngakoue started the game and was involved in that tackle. Kirk Cousins with his home debut in the preseason finishes 3 of 8, 12 yards, had a passer rating of 45.8. He was sacked once. Latavius Murray, 6 runs, 12 yards, fumbled twice. Tom Compton recovered 1. Calais Campbell recovered the other. Stephon Diggs targeted once, no catches. Thielen targeted 3 times, 0 catches. Siemian 2nd and 8 from the Broncos 23. Looks right, passes right, incomplete. I think it was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Rock Thomas, who had 2 receiving touchdowns a week ago at Denver, the intended receiver. And now it's 3rd and 8 with the Jags leading 7-3. They went for it 4th and goal at the 1, and Leonard Fournette between the hash marks pounded in for a Jaguars touchdown.
Well, Hunter Dimmick getting a piece of that last pass, and if you're an offensive lineman in Tom Compton, if it's a quick set and quick throw, you've got to get the hands of the defensive linemen down. You can't allow them to bat those balls at the line of scrimmage.
Compton, Edison, and Isadora all started. They're still in. Rookie 2nd rounder Brian O'Neill, the right tackle. Avion Collins, 2nd year from TCU, the left tackle. Here's a big blitz. Siemian hit as he throws, dropped incomplete. And offensive coordinator John DeFilippo is incredibly frustrated. That was Tavares King, formerly of the Bucks and Giants, caught it at the 20. Our new offensive coordinator, DeFilippo, right there in his 12th year in the NFL, first with the Vikings, threw his hands in the air. He thought King should have gotten a first down on this.
Well, no question. I think the ball hits you in the hands. If you're at this level, Paul, and the ball hits you in the hands, you've got to catch it. The protection was good. The quarterback keeps the play alive long enough to get the ball out. All out, big blitz by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you've got to come up with that catch.
Kai Forbath 1 of 1 on field goals. The veteran with a 41-yard try or right hash, snap spot. Forbath's right-footed kick is no good, hit the upright. He's 1 of 1. Daniel Carlson this preseason is 2 of 2, and Forbath today is 1 of 2. Jags lead second quarter 7-3, 9:46 to go from Minneapolis, courtesy of the Minnesota Vikings. Saturday football from US Bank Stadium on the Vikings Entertainment Network. In March, the Vikings moved into their new home, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center in Eagan. The headquarters sets the standard across sports as a state-of-the-art facility and features top-of-the-line amenities for Vikings players, coaches, and staff. For more information on TCO Performance Center, visit Vikings.com. Blake Bortles still in the game. Pass left, O'Shaughnessy wide open. Caught at the 50 into Vikings territory and wrestled down at the 40-yard line. Bortles, O'Shaughnessy, 29.
Well, just a play action of the deep crossing route by the tight end, and that's a mix-up. That's a mix-up on the Viking defense. One of the safeties needs to carry that going across the field, or a linebacker has to come from underneath and get underneath that. So Jacksonville's been taking these deep shots with their tight ends all game now, and these safeties and linebackers for the Vikings, you know, Kendricks took care of it, but these younger guys have to be able to do that as well.
Shatley, the backup center, is in for Jacksonville. Still a lot of first-teamers, or at least those who started, including Mankato Mavericks product Chris Reed at left guard. Handoff, Leonard Fournette runs away from Jaleel Johnson, far side, and he's smacked and knocked out of bounds by David Perry. Eric Wilson also on the scene. Jaleel late, gain of 1 for Fournette. And a member of the Vikings is down. It's Ade Aruna. Rookie defensive end Ade Aruna, a 5th rounder from Tulane. He's the one down. I think that's 6th rounder.
He's writhing in pain, so we'll take a look and see what the trainers say. But to go back in that play, Paul, we talked about Jaleel Johnson going into this game. He needed to get more north and south. He needed to hold the point. Much better job of him playing on Jacksonville's side of the line.
Murray fumbled. Calais Campbell recovered the fumble. Jacksonville went 12 plays, 70 yards, went for it on 4th and goal. Leonard Fournette plunged in from a yard out. That's all the scoring. Only 10 points with 8:57 to go in the first half. A week removed from when like 70 points were scored at Denver, and the Vikings had 42.
You have two really good defenses going at it here, Paul. So special teams and field position are key. And don't forget, Mackenzie Alexander had an opportunity, had an interception early in this game. Could have been a return for a touchdown. He's been out since with a twisted ankle. So these are the things. How much do you want these guys to play? You got to get them ready, but then again, you want to keep them healthy.
Jonathan Wynn, undrafted from Vanderbilt, has checked in, replacing Aruna. Back to action, handoff, and Stephen Weatherly splashes with a tackle for loss. That's Stephen Weatherly with a tackle for loss of a couple of yards. He's in his 3rd year from Vandy.
Now Stephen Weatherly, Paul, lining up outside the tackle, and just a very, very nice inside move, because you just, as a D lineman, you can't just sit there and be a target. So the tackle fires off on him, keeps his shoulder square, nice move underneath, and then unblocked to the running back. So a great little stunt by Weatherly coming inside the tackle.
Jacksonville 0 of 3 on 3rd down, leading 7-3. Bortles back to pass, looks right, passes right, caught cold-blooded, 1st down. It was Marquise Lee on Marcus Sherrills at the 27, gain of 14. Marquise Lee, a key member of the wide receiving corps for Mr. Marone. Once again, the Jaguars still operating with a majority of their first-team offense. Outside of Ben Gedeon, the Vikings strictly with their second-team defense.
Well, you look at Marcus Sherrills, Paul, and you know Marcus would be on this team if you just look at his special teams attributes. And that's where he's lagging a little bit, just not the speed to chase that out route. So,
I formation, T.J. Yeldon with the carry, and he heads up the middle. Gain of 3. 57 in the game for the Vikings is Devontae Downs, a rookie from Cal. We have a big fan on the sidelines. He's our analyst, Ben Lieber.
I'm a huge fan of Downs. I watched him in college, and you know what? He was a monster. One of these guys that pops off tape. They switched from a 4-3 to a 3-4 in his senior year last year, so it took some adjustment. He gets hurt mid-season, and he was just coming into form. That's the reason why his draft status went down. I think they found a gem in the late rounds as a free agent with Devontae Downs.
Second down, handoff T.J. Yeldon to the right side, and Yeldon is hit by several, Wynn and the aforementioned Devontae Downs. For a team that knows from a linebacker standpoint, Kendricks, Barr, Gideon, Eric Wilson, they're in. Probably two open spots. Devontae trying to win a spot.
And I think watching him play, he's definitely going to be an inside linebacker and a good one. You don't see linebackers hit wrap and then run their feet like Downs just did on that last play. That was a textbook tackle in a day and age when tackling has changed so much. So I'm very impressed with the 2 snaps that Downs just had.
3rd and 5, Jags 25% on 3rd down. Big Vikings blitz, flag comes in. Passes incomplete to Leonard Fournette. Mike Zimmer, head coach of the Vikings, defensive coordinator George Edwards, dialed up a big blitz on 3rd and 5.
Well, Bortles and Jacksonville knew it, so there was a little bit of a pick route going on out there. So I think they're going to, yeah, the receiver, the outside receiver definitely comes in and lowers a shoulder on Anthony Harris. So that you can't do. That's leading with the shot. That's a number of different penalties in this day and age, like a blindside block almost. So I think that's what they're discussing, is whether or not they're what kind of penalty that is going to be against Jacksonville. So this drive is stalled. So if there's our offense may not look great, Paul, but our defense.
Personal foul.
There we go.
Blindside block by the offense number 81. 15-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
Niles Paul, that is the 9th penalty this game. And we now have more than 100 yards in penalties.
Well, for Niles Paul, you've got to be a little more subtle than that. I mean, when you're trying to pick somebody and lay their shoulder, this is what the young guys have to learn, how to get their bodies in position. Niles Paul called earlier for offensive pass interference. So 2 penalties called against one guy. That's a rough day as Jacksonville is staring at 3rd and extremely long, 3rd and 20. But for the Vikings, you want to hold them because you don't want to make this just a chip shot, easy field goal.
Penalty on Keelan Cole, 2nd year from Kentucky Wesleyan. 3rd and 20 from the Vikings 37. Handoff Leonard Fournette and countered by several Vikings. Jaleel Johnson started it. Eric Wilson finished it off. And with that loss of 2, it puts the Jaguars in a precarious situation from a punt/field goal standpoint. Backed them up a little bit. They are going to try the field goal with Josh Lambo. Why wouldn't they? He has a big leg.
Paul, Jaleel Johnson in this one drive alone is really standing out. We mentioned again, he's in a position where next year he can contribute. This year he contributes, could be a starter. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen on the defensive front for next year. He is all over the backfield of Jacksonville now.
Lambo from 56. Snap, spot. Ball's creeping towards the crossbar and doesn't make it. It is no good. Short right. Josh Lambo, short right from 56. So Jacksonville still leads 7-3. We have had 3 field goal tries today. Forbath 1 for 2. Lambo 0 for 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Vikings Museum is a place for fans to experience the comprehensive history of this franchise through multiple interactive exhibits and hundreds of Vikings historical artifacts. The museum has something for every Vikings fan. Purchase tickets, learn more, Vikings.com/museum. Simeon back to pass, sacked, flag on the play. Taven.
Holding. Offense number 76. That penalty's declined. 2nd down.
Avion Collins.
Avion Collins flagged with the hold on Taven Bryan, who's the 1st-round draft pick from Florida.
Telvin Smith. Bryan's not playing.
Oh, my fault. But Avion Collins getting a chance to start, and that's going to be a big question, I think, coming out of this game, Paul, is the left tackle situation and who's developing and who we're going to want to put out there.
David Morgan to the left of Collins, 2nd year from TCU. in what has been a very staggered game from a penalty slash turnover, missed field goal standpoint. A very sloppy game. It's the only way to put it.
It has
7-3 Jacksonville. We're delayed again.
Well, Paul, you want to go
The
back.
penalty was declined. The play resulted in a sack. It is second down.
Okay.
Which the yard markers reflected, so not sure why that the referees had to go back and tell everybody that. So it's preseason for them too.
Collins, Compton, Edison, Isadora, and Brian O'Neill up front for Trevor Siemian. Empty backfield. Siemian looks right, passes right through the hands of Tavares King. So that's now 2 passes for, make that Rock Thomas. That's a couple of passes Siemian has thrown. One drop by Tavares King, that one by Rock Thomas. It's now 3rd and 17.
Well, one of the things that we've seen with Siemian is he has some down the field accuracy. When you play a team like Jacksonville, it's very similar defensively to us, and that our corners, their corners, challenge wide receivers. It's always a tight window that they're forcing the receivers to throw into, and I think our wide receivers are not getting that separation. They're not used to getting this kind of pressure.
Jags rush 5. Siemian steps away from it. Vikings 0 of 4 on 3rd down. Pass left, caught Jones at the 47, far shy of the first down. Out of bounds in front of his bench at the 48-yard line for a gain of 8. And Ryan Quigley is in to punt.
Well, Trevor Siemian gets to the top of his drop, doesn't see anyone open. He extends the play nicely with his legs and delivers the short route, the only route open in front of him. And that's Jacksonville. That's good team defense. When it's 3rd and long, you keep a team short, you let them throw the underneath stuff, rally up and make a tackle. And you know, this Jacksonville, I'm very impressed with this Jacksonville defense and the depth that they have at many positions. So 2 great defenses on the field today.
D.D. Westbrook, 2nd year Sooner, back to retrieve the Quigley punt. And it bounces out of bounds inside the 15 for sure. And right at about the 15-yard line. Nice punt by Ryan Quigley. Great field position flip for the Minnesota Vikings. And you eliminate D.D. Westbrook from the equation, 37-yard boot.
Well, we mentioned offense leading to defense, leading to special teams. And for Quigley, that is huge. Anytime we can pin a team inside the 20, our defense is going to have such a better chance to either get the ball back in the hands of be a turnover or punt or slowing down the Jacksonville offense. And well, they still have their starters in there, Paul. So, you know, Blake Bortles getting yet another series, probably going to get the whole first half. So an interesting play by Jacksonville.
Bortles 9 of 14, 126 yards and a pick. Handoff T.J. Yeldon. Leaps over David Perry at the 18, heads right side to the 25, to the 30, and T.J. Yeldon with a run of 17 yards, finally taken down. First down Jacksonville, 4 minutes to go first half. Jags lead by 4.
Now T.J. Yeldon just gets the handoff and the vision takes over. He sees daylight just outside the Viking defense, and it was definitely Eric Wilson a little late getting into his gap and allows Yeldon to get to the 2nd level.
1st and 10 Jacksonville from its own 32. The Vikings threaten blitz from the left of Bortles. Eric Wilson now backs off. Tightly packed eye behind the Central Florida product. Handoff T.J. Yeldon. Ball popped out, rolls out of bounds at the 31. Yeldon was hit at the point of attack for no gain. Ifeadi Odenigbo, perhaps with the hit. I know you liked him at Denver, didn't you?
Oh, I definitely did. He was very solid up front. And let's just go back. It's Jaleel Johnson getting in there as well. And don't forget, teams like to line up and put 2 receivers on one side to force the corner to be the run support. And Mike Hughes able to step up and make the running back cut back into pursuit. And that's Jaleel Johnson. So they're trying to get after our corners and get on the outside of our defense, but they're not. Look, Mike Johnson.
Substitution. 12 men on the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Devontae Downs, the one running out. Let's see who goes and chats with him. If it's the head coach, definitely have a problem.
Yeah, this is where the head coach starts to jump up when your things are falling apart a little bit. You're giving up some yards, get too many guys on the field, just getting sloppy.
Yeldon heads near side, hit at the 38 by Johnson, falls ahead for a gain of 3. Now, Jaleel Johnson, 2nd year from Iowa, backs up the 3 technique and the nose tackle. I mean, players like that, Shamar Stephen, who currently with the Seahawks, he did it for the Vikings last year, did it very well too, out of UConn a few years ago. But that's a vital role, isn't it?
It absolutely is, especially when you have a couple veterans in front of you like Sheldon Richardson, Linval Joseph. Those guys are going to need a break every now and then. And the way Jalil's playing today, you'd love to get him in the mix on a regular basis to give those big guys a break.
Fournette picks up the blitz. Bortles loops it left, incomplete. So the Jaguars are now 1 of 6 on third down conversions. That was Green Sr., the intended receiver.
Well, Jacksonville's got to quit going after Mike Hughes. They tried to get him on the ground, and now they're trying to get him through the air, and he's just all over the place. Mike Hughes, Paul, I think is outstanding so far, especially in this, especially him being here late in the first half against the Jacksonville, who are leaving most of their first team offense in the game.
Hey, the Jags have a punter. He'll punt to Mike Hughes, the rookie from Central Florida. Play clock down to 4. And the right-footed spiral very high, drives Hughes back, analyzes the scene, catches it at the 5, plants the left foot, heads out to the right side, shakes one tackle at the 9, and is taken down at the 12-yard line. 55-yard punt, 7-yard return by Mike Hughes, who had 4 punt return touchdowns over 2 of his 3 years at Central Florida.
Well, you mentioned earlier, Paul, how Mike Hughes is playing defense. He's covering punts. He's returning punts. That is key for a young guy at this time, because when the regular season comes, he probably won't have to go from offense or go from defense to special teams, or special teams right out to defense, and he's getting a lot of work. So he's definitely getting himself in shape, and this preseason is going to get him ready for opener here against San Francisco.
Simeon still in the game, looks at right defensive end Yannick Ngakoue, shakes right, swings back left, caught Tavares King on the run, center of the field, 20-25, and Harrison, the rookie safety from Alabama, brings him down, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. Jacksonville leads 7-3 on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Vikings football courtesy of the Vikings Entertainment Network. Pete Bursich, analyst for the simulcast and the Vikings Radio Network. I'm Paul Allen. Ben Lieber and Greg Coleman down on the sidelines. It is 7-3 Jacksonville on the Northland Ford dealer scoreboard. We are your regular season team for KFAN Radio and the Vikings Radio Network. We do a simulcast during the preseason, carried locally on Fox 9, and we welcome our nationwide audience today via NFL Network. Trevor Simeon, with flags all over the place, welcomes a host of Jaguars up in his mix, so he rolls out to the right and throws it away. In a game, Peter, we have had 10 accepted penalties at this stage for 110 yards. Looks like we have another one.
Now we're probably going to get holding against the Viking offense.
Holding by the offense, number 64. It's a 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
Now that's Josh Andrews, spent last year on the practice squad of the champion Eagles. After new offensive coordinator John DeFilippo was hired from Philly, Josh Andrews joined the Vikings mix.
No, Josh Andrews, you just got to keep moving your feet. You can't reach out for these defensive linemen. A couple things, Paul. I'm very impressed with the defensive front for Jacksonville, and I think our defensive front is also playing real well. Guys like Jaleel Johnson. So it's a war of the trenches, and right now the defenses on both teams are winning that battle.
Cornelius Edison still in at center. He'll go at least the first half at center. Simeon back to pass, pump, steps up in the pocket, swings left to Mike Boone, hit at the 15, and Boone falls ahead to the 16-yard line. There he was encountered by Patman, who met him at the point of attack.
First charge timeout of the half. Jacksonville.
Timeout.
Please reset the game clock to 1:38. 1:38.
Mr. Marone wants that ball back for offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett.
Thank you.
No problem.
This is a 30-second timeout.
Let's take a look at the schedule, courtesy of U.S. Bank. Niners at home, then at Lambeau week 2.
Well, and that's huge right out of the gate. And then you come back, you have a home game against the Bills, and then out to L.A. Look at that back-to-back. You go to L.A., then you go to Philadelphia to relive the NFC Championship game from a year ago. So this is the NFL. When you have a great year, you're rewarded by tough opponents the following year, and the Vikings see that really right out of the gate.
Simeon, 2nd and 19, passing left, incomplete. Chad Beebe, Don's son. The intended receiver, Don Beebe, played in 6 Super Bowls. His son Chad had a touchdown last Saturday at Denver. 3rd and 19.
Well, Paul, when the running game isn't quite working, the timing of the offense gets rough, and that's kind of what I'm seeing right now. Is these Jacksonville Jaguar corners and safeties are being very physical with our receivers, and the quarterbacks, when they're getting pressured, they're not staying calm. They're getting a little jumpy in the pocket because of the pressure that they've been under all day. So Jacksonville's kind of doing to us what I've seen our defense do to other teams all last year.
Simeon, 3 of 7, 23 yards. He'll hand the ball off on 3rd and long to Boone. And just inside the numbers, hit at the 17, falls ahead for a gain of 2. And the Jaguars will use their 2nd of 3 timeouts. In the second half, expect, I would imagine Trevor Simeon would get the start in the second half, then Kyle Sloter would finish it off. At Denver last week, Kirk Cousins went 1 series, 4 of 4. 3 completions to Stephon Diggs, including a touchdown. Simeon came in, finished out the first half. Sloter came in, the former Bronco, played the entire second half. So I would imagine Simeon gets some run in the second half, then into Kyle Sloter.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with you. And for Sloter, as a young quarterback, you better spend some time with your coordinator at halftime, overlooking and seeing what adjustments they're going to try to make and what Jacksonville's throwing at our offense, because right now our offense is just out of sync.
Quigley's last punt jammed the Jaguars back at their 15. This is a very high one. D.D. Westbrook running to the east side of U.S. Bank Stadium. Gets the corner to the far side, 40, 45, 50. Vikings gave up a punt return touchdown last week at Denver. Won't this time, but it's still a long return. Flag on this play. Tyler Conklin, the rookie tight end, the one to slow D.D. Westbrook. Punt of 52, return of 47, pending penalty.
I think the penalty is going to be a block in the back on Garrett Dooley. But when you're covering on punts, Paul, it's when you have to make sure that everybody's hustling down and being on the same level, and that's what we're seeing the last couple of weeks. Last week against Denver, it was
during the return, illegal block in the back by the return team number 10. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Dante Moncrief, veteran wide receiver.
Yeah, he wants off a special team, so he's going to make some penalties so they pull him off of it. But a week ago, it was guys just breaking down too soon and not filling their lanes. This one is just an unbelievable big punt by Quigley, and you got to run. You have to have the coverage team be on the same level or similar levels, and if you start getting guys staggered, things like that can happen. So the defense catching a little bit of a break on yet another penalty to put Jacksonville back at their own 31-yard line. But Bortles still in the game. I know they want to finish this half strong, so this is going to be a great test. Guys like Jaleel Johnson, who've had a great first half, those guys need to come up big, and Jacksonville's going to be throwing the ball in their 2-minute drive.
11 accepted penalties this game, 8 on the Jags for 90 yards. Bortles gets the entire first half, swings it out to the left to T.J. Yeldon, quick hitting gain of 4. T.J. gets out of bounds. Jags have 1 timeout. Vikings have all 3. Jags have the lead, 7-3. Jags get the ball to begin the second half. 2nd and 6 for Jacksonville from its own 39-yard line. Make that 35-yard line. Blake Bortles, 10 of 16, 130 yards, and a pick to Harrison Smith. Only touchdown in the game, Leonard Fournette from 1. 2 receivers left and right. Bortles looking left. Oh, he's hit as he throws, but he gets it off, and it's caught at the 50-yard line. Rookie Mike Hughes came on a corner blitz, smacked the behemoth quarterback with poise. He unloads it, and it's caught by Niles Paul for a first down.
Oh, nice zone blitz, and that's exactly what Bortles brings. He's big, 6'5".
Blake screen left, T.J. Yeldon, and it worked. He's to the 40, 35, tripped up there. Flag comes in, imagine that. And Yeldon is down at the 32-yard line. So, I mean, Sean Hockley is a new referee. He's been in the NFL since 2014. Let's hear Sean.
Holding by the offense number 11. 10 yards, replay, first down.
I mean, I watch a lot of preseason football, and obviously we saw last week's game led by Peter Moreeeee at Denver. Do you think per Hockley's advice or leadership, they're calling every single thing by the book today, or are teams just cheating at an unbelievably high rate?
I think it's a little bit of both, Paul. I mean, as the referee, you definitely direct your crew and how you want the game to be called, and I think both teams only want it to be consistent. So if they're calling everything today, then they're calling everything today, and it's definitely gets in the way of the play and the just the flow of the game.
Bortles on an extremely deep drop, looked deep right, saw nothing, throws it at the feet of TJ Yeldon. So it's incomplete with 39 seconds to go. And Jacksonville leading 7-3. 13 penalties in this game for 140 yards. 10 accepted penalties against the Jaguars for 110. 3 against the Vikings for 30.
67 yards of offense isn't acceptable, and most of the 202 by Jacksonville has come on the screen game. So that's something the Vikings are going to have to work on this week and fix that screen game.
Chark right, Lee left, pass right, incomplete. Bortles looking for Keelan Cole, incomplete with 36 seconds to go. Jaguars on offense now. The Vikings offense much better against Denver than today against Jacksonville. Now Jacksonville's first defense, with all due respect, specifically in a game Von Miller didn't play, is better than Denver's first defense. But the Vikings offense 0 of 6 on third down, 67 net yards, 2.5 yards per play, only 17 yards passing, and 2 fumbles, and they lost 1. 3rd and 6 from the Vikings 46 for Bortles. Shotgun. 3 receiving options right, 1 left. TJ Yeldon to the left of Blake Bortles, takes the snap. Here's a big blitz up the middle by Ben Gideon. He slows in, and Stephen Weatherly sacks Blake Bortles. Clock runs. 27, 26, 25. Ben Gideon with a middle rush.
Paul, that's just a huge play. Ben Gideon getting up, running through the A-gap like we've seen Kendrick so many times. You get him out of field goal range. Excellent job by the defense.
Clock runs, nobody stopping it. 7-3 Jacksonville. The Jags get the ball to begin the second half. And thanks to a Leonard Fournette touchdown, we have 1 touchdown in this game. A couple of missed field goals, 13 penalties. We'll see if the second half can be markedly better. 7-3 Jags on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Cousins was 3 of 8 for 12 yards. Trevor Siemian 3 of 7 for 23 for the Minnesota Vikings. We welcome those at KFAN and the Vikings Radio Network now joining the simulcast. And we now are joined by Greg Coleman.
Greg Coleman back at US Bank Stadium with head coach Mike Zimmer. Coach, a difference a week makes. 67 yards on offense. What did you tell your guys?
Well, I told them that we better get back on point. We're not feeling good about last week. You know, we fumbled the ball twice. We gave up 3 screens and a quarterback scramble on. You know, so it just wasn't a very good half. We had penalties. We had 12 men on the field. I mean, bad football.
How difficult is it to practice against these guys a couple of days a week and not try to show too much, even during the course of a game like this?
No, it's not difficult. We just need to go out and execute, and we didn't do it.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. That's head coach Mike Zimmer, guys. Not very happy with his guys. Paul, back to you and Pete.
All right, Greg. Now, Peter, you as a former coach and player with the Minnesota Vikings, what are you looking for in the second half to clean things up?
Well, you're definitely looking for not having to cut down on the penalties. Make sure if you're supposed to be on the field, you're on the field. This is where Prefer has such a tough job in the second half with guys that are up, guys that are down. Eliminate the penalties. And in offense, you got to get some kind of sustained drive. And whether it's through the air or on the ground or a combination of both, offensively, we have not moved the chains and not been able to cover any ground. So you want that consistency there. Defensively, keep it up. Jaleel Johnson, I think, played a great first half playing on Jacksonville's side of the football. So defensively, that's kept us in the game. It's only a 7-3 affair. We've had shots at 2 turnovers. We came up with 1. But keep up that part of it. Stay focused. That's a big part.
Blake Bortles, 12 of 20, 159 yards, and a pick to Harrison Smith. A grand total of 13 penalties in the first half, and boom, Daniel Carlson, the rookie from Auburn, kicks it deep, and Mickens will bring it out 9 yards deep in the end zone, heads to the right side to the 10 to the 15, gets to the 20, and that is a return of roughly 35 yards for the Jaguars to begin the second half with a 7-3 lead. Here is the Miller Lite social media segment. Interact with us via the broadcast using hashtag VikingsTalk. The question, which Vikings player will have a breakout season in 2018? Viking Jedi says Kyle Rudolph. What do you think, Pete?
Well, I think Kyle Rudolph with Kirk Cousins here, you would think that the tight end would get a little bit more involved, especially with the bootlegs and those kinds of plays. He tried to get him a football today. He didn't come up with it. So, yeah, you'd like to see Kyle Rudolph get more involved outside of the red zone.
Cody Kessler, the new quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The road team acquired him via trade in the offseason. 9-yard run, second down.
Well, for Jacksonville, you leave Blake Bortles in the whole entire first half, and you come away with only 7 points on the board. And I say only if you have your starters in there. You think about that. The Jacksonville starters were in the game offensively for most, if not all, the first half. And they were only able to put up 7 points against mainly our backups who played a majority of the second quarter. So this group defensively that's on the field has had a good day.
Brandon Wilds is the tailback. Kessler looking over the middle, passes, and it's caught. It is caught by Dante Moncrief on reserve corner Horace Richardson for a gain of 8 yards and a Jaguars first down.
And we mentioned the penalties, Paul. You mentioned that coming out of the break and into the half. 10 of the 13 penalties called in the first half were against Jacksonville. So for the Vikings, not bad. You know, a lot of penalties in the first half, but most of them went the Vikings' way, so that is a good thing. You want to keep that up, keep that discipline up here in the second half.
Rookie fourth-rounder Jalen Holmes in at defensive tackle. Kessler on first down. Dumps over the middle, and it's caught by Wilds, and he's chopped down by Trey Matthews. And undrafted safety from Auburn.
Well, our defensive backfield as a unit is playing very, very well. Even though the twos are in there, Jacksonville gets a bunch of receivers together, and they try to run the pick routes, and they were able to sort it all out like a veteran unit would, and that's good. Good game planning, good discipline by the Viking defensive backfield.
Moncrief and rookie Chark off to the right. DJ is slot right. Cody Kessler is the quarterback. In his third year from USC, meet Eric Wilson. Smack. Down goes Kessler. Big sack by Eric Wilson. It's a big loss.
Paul, this is a veteran move by Eric Wilson. He comes off the edge and he times it up perfectly, so he gets a running start on the snap, doesn't bite on the play fake, comes up and makes the sack. So Eric Wilson showing up huge today, Paul, on making big plays. A big tackle earlier right before the end of the first half on the sideline. He's doing some great things today, showing up. We've got a plethora now of linebackers, and if you're looking at keeping 5 or 6, I mean, you've got 6 good linebackers on this football team right now.
Jags 1 of 7 on third down, leading 7-3 just underway in the second half. Cody Kessler takes the snap. Minnesota rushes for, and Kessler is sacked again, this time by Ifeadi Odenigbo. Flags in from the area of Odenigbo. Feels like hold. Left tackle, Jags.
Paul, I love what we're seeing out of Ifeadi Odenigbo. That just playing interior defensive line against Denver. Very stout, moves the defensive end and uses that power.
Holding by the offense, number 75. There is no foul for roughing the passer because the defender was held into the quarterback. 10-yard penalty. Correction. That penalty's declined. Fourth down.
Couple of sacks on successive plays.
Now, great job by Ifeadi Odenigbo, just getting low, getting his pads low, getting around the corner. And the question is, I mean, he didn't even land on the back of the quarterback's legs. I mean, that's what they were looking at. But mainly just the back and the lower part of the. Just a great job by him. Leverage on the edge. A good defensive play.
Logan Cook punts for Jacksonville. Rookie Chad Beebe is deep for the Vikings. Nice punt by Cook. Beebe retreats to his own 22 far side. Heads up to the 25, to the 30. And the Trevor Siemian-led Vikings walk onto the field, trailing by 4 in the third quarter. From Minneapolis on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Welcome back to Minneapolis on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Eric Wilson had a sack, and we had a microphone. Eric Wilson wired for sound today with the Vikings offense. Copyright Wilson. Let's go. Trailing 7-3. That's a quick gain of 5 yards. Second down as we run down to the sidelines. Main man Ben Lieber.
Thanks a lot, PA. We got Harrison Smith here, and Harrison, don't beat me up, but I'm going to give you a little bit of crap here. You dropped 2 interceptions on Wednesday at practice, right? But You redeemed yourself out here with the interception on the second series. So could you take us through that play? What did you see?
You know, just playing the defense that's called, reading my key, and then getting a good read on the quarterback. But, you know, Jerry and George were giving me some grief about dropping those during the week. So George said, you know, I'll take it during the game if you're going to drop it in practice.
Well, we talk about the takeaways, and last year you guys were the #1 defense as far as points allowed, but near the bottom of the league when it comes to takeaways. How do you guys increase the takeaways this year?
Yeah, I mean, we can't get away from what we do as far as the fundamentals of the game, doing our job. But as far as creating turnovers, you know, we want to improve in that area, whether it's fumbles, interceptions, you know, just either get the ball in the end zone ourselves or give the ball back to our offense in great field position.
You guys had a chance this week to practice with the Jags and against the Jags before this game. What did you guys get out of those practices, especially defensively?
We got some great work. You know, I know our offense did as well, going against a very good defense on our side of the ball. Just going against different players, different looks. You know, it's good because it kind of gets stale going against your team. You kind of start to figure each other out pretty quick.
And this is your first year at TCO Performance Center. You guys hosted training camp in Eagan at your home facility. How'd that go? Did the guys like being in Eagan and at home?
Yeah, it's great. That facility is unbelievable. Really couldn't have done much better of a job. We have everything that athletes need, and I think it went well for the fans as well as far as giving them access to come and watch practice.
All right, thanks a lot. First team All-Pro right here.
All right, thanks, Ben. The good news is Harrison Smith is on our team. The bad news is the Vikings have sustained another injury after defensive end rookie Adeyaruna was carted off in the first half. Now reserve offensive lineman Josh Andrews is down, and he looks like he's going to get up here momentarily, so hopefully everything works out well for Josh Andrews. For an offensive line grouping, Pete, that a couple of weeks ago lost starting left guard Nick Easton for the season due to a neck injury, is without starting center Pat Elflein, recovering, and you know, I'm not going to place odds on whether he'll play week 1 against San Francisco, but he, with the strength and conditioning staff, do a lot of hard, arduous work leading up to the regular season. Mike Remmers, I believe, will return relatively soon. He's practicing. Now you got the Andrews situation. I mean, injuries to this offensive line.
Yeah, we can't afford them.
It's been unbelievable.
It has been, and you go into this preseason game, Paul, with 60% of your offensive line gone. I mean, the starters, Elflein, Remmers, and then Rashad Hill, not able to get out here and take the opportunity in a preseason game to get better. So that's a big missed opportunity as well, but you're missing just too many starters.
That's the TCO health report. Quigley's punt short, bounces. Mickens takes it on a bounce and walks out of bounds. 46-yard punt by Ryan Quigley. Jags ball. Jags lead 7-3, third quarter. Minneapolis Vikings football. 7-3 Jaguars. Game stats provided by Sleep Number.
Now both teams with identical yards on the ground. It's just through the air that Jacksonville has had their way, Paul. Most of that's the screen game, so not the deep passes, but the short passes underneath, and the linebackers and D linemen needing to rally on those.
TJ Yeldon left side for a gain of 5 yards. Second down for the Jags, leading by 4. 10:20 to go in the third quarter. On Fox 9 NFL Network, FM 100.3 KFAN, and the Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. Friday, we are in this building to play the Seattle Seahawks in the third preseason game. Then 6 days after that at Nashville to close the preseason against the Titans. Cody Kessler sacked twice. Back to pass, flag on the play. Passes left, and it's caught by Green Sr. Out of bounds at the 43.
That's going to be a hold on Antoine Williams, who came blitzing up inside. The running back, Yeldon, I believe, has got his arms wrapped around him. Actually, it wasn't Yeldon. It was Yeldon. Give him a hug.
By the offense, number 24.
Yeldon.
It's a 10-yard penalty. Replay, second down.
And that's what our big linebackers do, and that's why I think that Williams fits this mold, Paul. He's able to bring that big body up inside and put a shoulder in a running back, and running backs, when they're going down, it's hard not to hold somebody when you're getting run over. When someone's putting you on your back, it's just nature to want to reach out and grab, and he did so, and that puts Jacksonville back to make it 2nd and 15.
Kessler, 2nd and 15 from his own 14. Two receivers right, one left. Cody looks left, passes over the middle, caught by Yeldon, turns up the field. Devontae Downs misses a tackle at the 25, and Yeldon falls ahead to the 29, gain of 14.
Well, this is where Jacksonville has been really good all day. It's just the running backs out of the backfield, whether it's the screen game or the deep routes with the running back checking out of the backfield, and that's where guys like Devontae Downs. That's why Eric Kendricks is a starter. That's why Anthony Barr is a starter, because they have the speed to be able to cover a running back like that out of the background. And Devontae Downs he's got to get there. He's got to take it to the next level and be able to chase down a running back out of the backfield.
I formation behind Kessler on first down. Number 2 running back for Jacksonville, TJ Yeldon, bangs up the middle for a gain of 3. Following the blocking of 64, Chris Reed, college free agent in 2015. We mentioned 64 because he played collegiately at Minnesota State University and for the Mavericks. 16 games in the NFL for Reed, 7 starts, plays left guard for the Jags. Pretty deep on the offensive line, too.
Well, they are. And you look at non-BCS football in college, Paul, the upper Midwest, Minnesota, we have some of the best Division I AA, Division II, and Division III programs in the country. And you've seen a lot of these guys make it in the NFL.
Kessler play action, fires right, incomplete. DJ Chark Jr., intended receiver, couldn't close on it. So it'll be 3rd and 7 from the Jags 32. 7-3. Kai Forbath, veteran kicker for the Vikings, battling rookie Daniel Carlson for the kicker spot on the final 53. Made one from 44, missed one from 41. Last week at Denver, Daniel Carlson, 2 of 2, hit one from 57, and was 4 of 4 on extra points. Jags are 1 of 8 on 3rd down. Kessler shotgun. Minnesota rushes 4. Cody hit as he throws, incomplete. Ohio State rookie Jalen Holmes applying the pressure. And the Jaguars are punting.
Well, there's a few truths in football, Paul, and the quarterbacks do not like to get hit. They do not like the pressure. He saw that coming. Nice knockdown by the rookie. The ball flutters to the ground, so the defense again coming up with a big stop. And we've been very consistent all day defensively, Paul. We've given up some things underneath, some screen games, some checkdowns to the running backs, but overall, the Viking defense has looked really good.
The lanky Logan Cook, rookie from Mississippi State, kicks it to fellow rookie Chad Beebe. Jukes right, heads to the left, and he's thrown down violently at the 26. Run of 45. Beebe return of 3. 7-3 Jags midway through the 3rd quarter. Vikings ball on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Vikings Rewards is an opportunity to thank fans for unending loyalty. Earn points for just watching games and redeem them for Vikings prizes and experiences. Enter the promo code 818-NEWMAN. 818-NEWMAN. Get 250 points. Vikings.com/rewards for more information. Trevor Siemian under duress. Screen left to Rock Thomas, and there he goes. 25-30, angles right 35. Hey, it's a Minnesota Vikings first down to the 43. Catch and run of 16 by Rock Thomas, undrafted, Jacksonville State. A couple of TDs last week against Denver. He's Rock Thomas.
Well, the right call at the right time. You get the play action with the throwback, and Jacksonville sending guys off the edge. It leaves Albion Collins out in the lead to make sure you can move the chain. So a well-executed play. And Rock Thomas, Paul, he's fighting with Mike Boone right now. Both of them have looked really good.
Collins playing left guard. Kessler make that Siemian back to pass. Dump right. Caught David Morgan. Turns up at the 45. Hit and stopped at the 49. That'll be a gain of 7. Siemian to tight end David Morgan. We mentioned Avion Collins, left guard, started the game at right tackle. Into training camp, Riley Reef, left tackle Riley Reef's backup. Played right guard during the joint practices against Jacksonville. The only thing he hasn't done is snap.
Well, there's a saying in the NFL, the more you can do. So the more you can do, the better. And he's absolutely doing as much as he possibly can to make this team and become a starter.
Rookie tight end Tyler Conklin in motion to the left. Handoff Rock Thomas to the right side. Jags territory, first down. Spins at the 40 after he's hit. Falls down at the 36-yard line. Rock Thomas, 15 yards. Vikings first down. Little energy in the building, Peter.
No question about it. And Tyler Conklin, the tight end, getting a nice block on the edge to spring Rock Thomas. So both of our backup running backs, Rock Thomas, Mike Boone, looking really good today. And I'm still sticking with, I like the way Mike Boone runs the football, and he's in here now to spell Rock Thomas. But that's a tough decision this team's going to have to make.
1st and 10 from the Jags 36. 3 receiving options left. Make it 2 because Chad Beebe goes in motion to the right behind Trevor Siemian. Handoff goes to Mike Boone. Responding to Rock Thomas. Turns up outside the 30. Breaks a tackle at the 29. Mike Boone. This crowded U.S. Bank Stadium not booing. It's booning for Mike Boone in that 9-yard run.
Well, we'll see if this revamping of the running game here on this series is going to open things up for the pass, because Siemian, Paul, he has pressure. He has somebody in his lap constantly whenever he drops back, and the best way to slow that down is the screen game and or the running game. And boy, between Mike Boone and Rock Thomas, they're really putting it on Jacksonville.
Boone 45 rushing yards, Rock Thomas 24. 2nd and 1 from the Jags 27. Kendall Wright, former 1st-round pick from Baylor, slot right, but they run to Boone, and he runs through a Jaguar to the 20, sprints to the 10 to the 5. Mike Boone inside the 5-yard line, down at the 1. Mike Boone, 26-yard scamper, 1st and goal, Vikings.
Well, Mike Boone brings that attitude. He also brings a low pad level. Gets off the arm tackle. That's the one thing. That's what you look for in a running back. You just have to beat one man, get through one arm tackle, get to that 2nd level. I just love the way Boone at the mesh point keeps his shoulders square, has great vision. I think you got to hand it off to Boone and let him finish this drive off.
Here we go. 1st and goal. BB in motion to the left of Siemian. Boone the single set. Siemian, Boone, middle, grinds, touchdown, Mike Boone. Cincy rookie finished what he started. Ran the Vikings down the field, ran the Vikings into the end zone, ran the Vikings to a lead.
Well, Paul, you come out of halftime, and offensively you're looking for some kind of a spark. And if you want to be a leader on any NFL team, when things are going like that, you've got to provide that. Mike Boone has done that with the last couple carries that he's had, moving the chains, getting the ball, and then finally just pushing one in for a touchdown.
Great camaraderie. Rock Thomas, 2 touchdowns last week against Denver. First one to greet Boone, fist pumping, high-fiving. They're in a battle probably for 3rd tailback spot on the final 53. The other probably lands on a practice squad, hopefully here. That's really cool, that camaraderie.
It is.
Carlson. Yes. Daniel Carlson with the extra point. He's 5 of 5 this preseason. 10-7 Minnesota, 4:23 to go in the 3rd quarter from Minneapolis. It's Minnesota Vikings football. Back courtesy of the BEN. And thanks to the Minnesota Lottery, our scoring drive, Minnesota Lottery, and the I'm in to win scratch game. The Vikings scratched an offensive itch in the 3rd quarter. Peter, we're always in to win. Free, regular, postseason, right?
Absolutely, and that's what you want. You want to see your players respond as a coach, and Mike Boone provided that spark, and that's something that only few players have, and that's what I love about Mike Boone, the way he runs and how hard he runs. He fires up everybody around him.
Carlson with a kick 9.5 yards deep in the end zone for a touchback. Mike Boone was the one to finish off the touchdown drive. 6 plays, 74 yards. Peter, analyze Mike Boone.
Well, when you watch Mike Boone run, Paul, every time he gets that handoff, what we call the mesh point, his shoulders are always square, and that allows him to have vision all the way across this offensive and defensive line. Rock Thomas there showing the same thing. Like I said before, Rock Thomas a little more versatile out of the backfield, but right there, Mike Boone breaking a tackle. That is what he brings. That's that 2nd level acceleration, and then watch him out here grinding it into the end zone. So 2 very good running backs. Their styles are a little different, but we know they love each other because they're out there congratulating after every drive.
Yeldon, 5 yards, maybe 6. Mike Boone accounted for 54 rushing yards on a drive that went 74 yards. And we focus on Boone and Thomas as much as we do, Peter, because of the 3rd tailback availability for the Vikings. Don't want to leave out veteran Mac Brown. He's not playing today. He got nicked up in that Denver game, and he looked pretty good. But Boone seems to be more physical than Rock. Rock seems to catch it very well, be a little more stylistically sound.
Right, and the way that matchup is going right now, it's going to be up to the coaches to decide which type of running back do they want to have as that number 3? And then, so if you want to look at a replacement for Jerick McKinnon, I think Rock Thomas has more of those skills, you know, coming out of the backfield, those kinds of things. But I don't see with Mike Boone and his ability just to run north and south. I'd like to see him get some snaps early. Take Latavius Murray, get him some rest, teach him how to run the football with the ball against his ribcage so he's not fumbling it anymore, and let Mike Boone get some shots against the 1.
3rd and 1. Jags 1 of 9 on 3rd down. And make that 1 of 10. Wilds, unless he fell forward for the 1st down. Wilds hit behind the line of scrimmage. Spun. And he got the 1st down. Clyette, the one to stop him. Hey, it's Ben Lieber with Detroit Lakes' Adam Thielen.
That's right. Thanks a lot, PA. Adam Thielen, 1,200 yards last year, a little over 1,200 yards last year, but you got a new quarterback. You made an emphasis in the offseason to make sure that you got with him on the field. Why was that so important to you to get together with him in the offseason?
Well, you need reps. I think it's something that really gets overshadowed. I don't think people realize how many reps it takes to get on the same page. I mean, we're still, you know, out here in preseason games talking about stuff, you know, how I like to run my routes, how he likes me to get open, things like that. So the more reps you can get, the better. And we want to make sure that we're prepared for week 1.
You know, there's an article that came out that he's kind of known for some quirkiness, that he likes to throw around random facts, science facts. Did you learn anything quirky about him, and did he teach you anything?
I learn something new every day from him. And but no, he's just a guy that you want to be around because he's so fun. He's always got something new. You know, we sit down in the hotel after all the meetings are done and stuff, and we just talk about random stuff. There's like 10 of us, and it's just a fun time. And it's probably, if somebody recorded it, they'd have a good laugh about it.
So you guys had a great week last week. First drive was spectacular. Today, a little shaky, I think, on offense. Same with them on their offense, obviously going against two good defenses. But what can we as fans expect to see come week 1 out of this offense?
Well, first of all, we're going to keep working. You know, I think that's why it's so important to get out here and get your reps in preseason. So important to take advantage of OTAs and mini camps, and then obviously training camp. Because we have a long ways to go before that week 1, and we're glad we have that time because we were a little rusty today. I think there was some completions we should have completed, and you know, there's some stuff in the run game that we did well, but we could always be better.
So your good buddy Stephon Diggs got a contract extension this offseason. You guys have this incredible bond right now. How does he complement you on the field?
Well, I think we're just so similar-minded people. I think we both love the game of football. We have so much love for and passion for one another, and you know, I think we both do the similar things on the football field too. And we're always taking one thing from him, and you know, I'm taking things from him, he's taking things from me, and the communication between us is so great. So I'm very, very appreciative and thankful he's on our team. I'm glad he got a big deal because he deserves it.
One thing that we learned from him last week was that he put you and Trevor Siemian as the 2 best dancers on the team. How is that possible?
Well, I think there was a slight bit of sarcasm with it, but I am a dang good dancer, and I've learned some pretty good moves from 14.
Can we see some? Just a little.
I will show you some, but it's after I score a touchdown.
Gotcha. Deal. All right. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Adam. Deep in the 3rd quarter, 2nd and 9 Jags from their own 47. Handoff goes to Wilds. He tries to get Wild up the middle across the 50. Make that Corey Grant the tailback, gain of 3. When the 4th quarter commences, Pete Bursich, Ben Lieber, Greg Coleman, we can have a confab about Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs and kind of prognosticate a little bit what we think 2018 is going to look like with Kirk Cousins and new offensive coordinator John DeFilippo. You know, Adam Thielen last year with 1,276 receiving yards, the first Vikings receiver since Sidney Rice in 2009 to have more than 1,000 receiving yards. Stephon Diggs, as Ben mentioned, got that big deal, and they should be formidable into the 2018. Let's talk about that and more when we return to Minneapolis on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Via Sleep Number. The Vikings lead 10-7 into the 4th quarter. And it's 3rd and 5 for Jacksonville from the Vikings 49. Wilds is the tailback. Kessler, the quarterback, passes left. in front of Holton Hill. It's caught right at the first down marker. And that'll be good for a Jags first down. DJ Chark Jr., LSU, on Holton Hill, undrafted Texas.
Now, we talked about Holton Hill earlier. It's 6'3", almost 200 pounds. He has that size that you're looking for, the Xavier Rhodes style size, but you've got to anticipate and know the down and distance. Know that you're probably going to get a hitch and be a little quicker out of his break, and he might have been able to break up that pass.
First down, 2 receivers right, 1 left. Cody Kessler sacked twice, looks left, fires left flat, and it's caught by the tailback Wilds, wide open. Walks ahead to the 38-yard line for a catch and run of 5 yards.
Well, you look at the numbers for today in Jacksonville, leading in passing yards, are about to get to 200 in the passing category, and a lot of it's been short throws, Paul, and run after the catch, and a lot of screens earlier in the first half that moved the chain. So Jacksonville, despite getting a lot of yards through the air, really have done it with their underneath throwing game.
Vikings go nickel. Rookie Craig James inside. Veteran Kessler passes left in front of Holton Hill. Caught, first down. That's Chark Jr. Gain of 6, maybe 7. And another first down. So if you're Holton Hill in a secondary led by Mike Zimmer, who won a Super Bowl as a DB's coach for the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Gray, incredibly well-respected defensive backs coach, and you have Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, first-round pick Mike Hughes, Mackenzie Alexander, the ageless Terrence Newman. If you're Holton Hill, what do you do?
Well, you play you play the best you can, because you know other teams are going to look at the defensive backs that the Vikings cut very closely, because we have all that talent. So he's auditioning for a lot of different teams right now, and a lot of teams are going to be taking a look at what the Vikings are going to do in their secondary. So if you can make this team, you're a darn good DB.
Kessler under duress from undrafted safety Matthews. Flag all the way on the other side of the field at the 12-yard line, as Kessler rolled out to the right and threw it away. Sean Hockley.
The pocket and reached the ball beyond the line of scrimmage. Therefore, there is no intentional grounding. Before the quarterback left the pocket, illegal contact by the defense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and an automatic first down.
That is the bad news. Penalty number 15 for 100.
The foul was on number 37.
Thank you. For 155 yards today. The good news, we got through the entire third quarter without a penalty after having like 13 in the first half.
I know, it was a sloppy first half, especially for Jacksonville. They amassed 10 of the 13 penalties. So, you know, a lot of them were just unsportsmanlike conduct, really stupid penalties that you don't like to see your team commit.
That penalty on Holton Hill. Kessler is under center. Goes on a 7-step drop, steps up in the pocket. Oh, he's going to be hit from behind. Yes, he is. And he's sacked by Ifeadi Odenigbo, who has 2 sacks today. Loss of 5, Ifeadi Odenigbo.
Well, Ifeadi Odenigbo needs to go and thank Devontae Downs, because Devontae Downs ended up late covering the tight end across the middle, and that's what made the quarterback scramble, getting time for Ifeadi Odenigbo to get and make a sack. Now, he's played a little bit of interior line this year. He looked great against Denver. I thought very solid up front. Now he's getting to play some base defensive end. He looks good out there. I think he's a guy that's taking it to the next level.
Wilds slowed, finished. Hill slows him. Matthew finishes him. Matthews, gain of 5, 3rd and 10.
So Odenigbo checks out and Weatherly checks in, and you know, you just compliment a guy and then he gets driven 4 or 5 yards off the ball. But that's the NFL, man. You can't bring it on one play and then take a play off after that. You've got to be at the same tempo every single play.
Jaguars 4 of 12 on 3rd down. A little less than 12 minutes to go in the game. 10-7 Vikings. 3rd and 10, Cody Kessler. Thought that was a false start on the left tackle. Doesn't matter. Safety blitz. Anthony Harris, sack. Anthony Harris, interception at Denver. Sack on Cody Kessler. Jaguars punting.
Now, Paul, that's just a huge play. You get Anthony Harris to blitz up the middle, another guy who needs to impress pretty quickly after last week not playing. But you get the Jaguars out of field goal range, and that's huge. It keeps points off the board, and you know, you should be make a 42-yard field goal. You're up 13-7. But in this case, every point it matters, because we only hold a 3-point lead. But a great job by the defense again, moving Jacksonville back at a key time.
Here's the end-over-end punt. Craig James calls for a fair catch, brings it in at the 8-yard line. Minnesota Vikings ball led by Kyle Sloter when we return. Vikes lead by 3. It's Vikings football. Wilson wired for sound. Eric Wilson wired for sound. Kyle Sloter, the new quarterback for the Vikings. Minnesota leads 10-7. Kyle Sloter at Denver last week. 9 of 11, 69 yards. He had a passing touchdown. And Kyle Sloter also had a 14-yard rushing touchdown on a naked boot. From what I understand, Peter, he called at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that's not usual for quarterbacks to, unless he has that ability to check out, but a very, very smart play. I mean, he wants to get himself in space and make some plays, and against this Jacksonville defense, they're swarming right now.
Sloter, Conklin, first down. Ben Lieber with B-Rob.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, 12-year defensive end, Brian Robinson, scoring the shades per usual. Little game analysis. I want to ask you about this game a little bit. You guys stuffed the run. This is the #1 rush defense as of last year. You guys stuffed it, but the screen game kind of got you. Why is the screen game so difficult sometimes for a defense?
It's difficult because, you know, a lot of times as a defensive line, we're ready to pass rush. I mean, it's a lot of times it's pass rush situations, so you kind of go and, you know, it's just a little different wrinkle. You know, they didn't do it against us during their 2 practices, so they waited for it today, and they got us with it. So we got a lot of work going forward with that this week.
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys are getting after the passer, though. Defensive front's been outstanding, 6 sacks total. You know, what is... All right, guys, we'll have more of Brian Robinson as we come back.
It's Vikings football on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Sadly, there goes Cedric Lang, backup offensive lineman, the 3rd Viking to face injury today during the game against the Jags. Back to Ben Lieber.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, it's never good to see a player go down with an air cast and being carted off. But, B-Rob, we were talking about game analysis today. 6 sacks. You guys were getting after the quarterback. A large part of that, you guys' defensive front. And we've talked about Andre Patterson a little bit, but I don't think he gets enough credit as your defensive line coach. What's the secret to his success to getting not only you guys, but some of the younger guys up to speed?
Well, I mean, it's just the way he coaches. He breaks everything down from a fundamental standpoint and then works his way up. And that's what you got to love about a coach. It doesn't matter if 12-year veteran. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie coming in. He's going to break you down in fundamentals and work everything back up. So I think that's been the key to our success. And, you know, with us being able to rush passers is why we get the screen games that we got today.
You go back to last year, and you guys were the top-ranked defense when it comes to points allowed. You know, it's hard to get better than that. But how can this defense improve?
Well, I think for us, I mean, even the last 2 weeks, you know, we're looking at it, and as well as we have really been playing, we still got a long ways to go, and that's what Coach keeps preaching to us. Coach Zimmer keeps preaching to us, that we still got a long ways to go, and as long as we keep that mentality that we're never satisfied with where we're at, then the sky's the limit for us.
So last one here, we saw the helmet rule come into effect again today, although it was on Jacksonville. But how are you guys now? You've been in the league 12 years. You've seen it all. You've seen different rule changes here and there. But this one is going to impact the game, I think, dramatically. How have you guys adjusted, and how do you guys manage it through the course of these practices and these games?
Man, I think I'm as baffled as anybody else. You know, we look at some of the stuff on tape, the explanation of, you know, which ones are fouls and which ones aren't. And some of them you look at and it's like, how is that a foul? And then some of them you look at and you're like, okay, I see that one. To me, it's just one of those things that you just go play ball and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a very confusing rule. I mean, I understand the posture that they're trying to keep us out of and things like that. But at the same time, I've seen a lot of hits that to me, they're clean hits. So, I mean, it's you know, it's kind of a 50-50 deal. You just go out there and play ball and hope the best comes out of it.
All right, Pete, he's just like you and I. We're kind of confused in this rule. Thanks a lot.
The way I feel about it is you hit somebody, you might or might not get fouled.
Just go hit somebody.
All right, Ben, thank you. Flag comes in here, speaking of hits, and you might or might not get fouled. Jalen Myrick in the game, by the way, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Same Jalen Myrick, who was a defensive back and returner for the Gophers, 2017 7th-round pick, all Big Ten honorable mention a couple of times, 2015 and 2016.
That's Badette that's down. He got a shoulder to the side of the head. I mean, for Wilson, the safety from Jacksonville, that's a pretty clean hit. And I think this play is a perfect example.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, hit against a defenseless receiver, number 26 defense. That 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play as the pass was complete. First down.
Paul, I think this is a perfect example of a play that Ben Lieber and Brian Robinson were just talking about it. That what you worry about is that they're just going to throw flags on big hits. Any type of big hit anywhere on the field, they're going to see the result, hear the hit, and then flag it one way or another, because a year ago that was a perfectly 100% legal hit.
Ben Lieber rejoins from the sidelines. Ben, you know, Brian went out of his way, 12th year from Texas. I mean, the senior most member of the Vikings went out of his way at the end of your chat to mention we head out, paraphrasing, we head out there not knowing what's a hit and what's not. I mean, that's you guys both played decades in the National Football League. Wouldn't that really bug you heading into the regular season?
Yeah, it really bugs me. And here's the catch, though. That flag was not for the new helmet rule. That was for a defenseless receiver, which has been in effect for a couple years now. So not only do you have to give the ball carrier a proper response time, now you have to keep your head and the halo of your head completely out of play as well. So again, how can a play like that for a defensive player work any differently? He catches the ball, you let him take a step or two, make eye contact with him, say hi, give him your cell phone number, then you can tackle him.
Kyle Sloter, the quarterback, handoff Mike Boone. He has the only Vikings touchdown today, grinds up the middle. Number 9 is Jake Winicky from Maple Grove by way of South Dakota State University. Came out of slot left there, was blocking down the field nicely. It was a gain of 3. And good enough for the Vikings to have it 2nd and 7, trailing 10-7. Obviously a very low-scoring game. Penalty filled in the first half. 13 penalties accepted in the first half. 67 is Cornelius Edison. He started at center for the Vikings and has played the entire game.
Injury timeout.
Well, they're making Mike Boone come out for something, whether it's a piece of equipment or something that they stopped the play clock to let a substitution happen. The contact lens, I think, popped out. This day and age, it's still something with the helmet, so who knows.
Johnny Stanton, undrafted rookie fullback from UNLV in the game. Chad Beebe in motion, 2 receivers left. Winicky left flat, caught at the 41 and stopped immediately. Ben, what happened to Mike?
Well, nothing really happened with him. It's not a contact. Equipment manager Aaron Newman is fixing his helmet. That looks to be some sort of screws loose, not in his head, but on his helmet. So they're getting that fixed right now. He should be out there shortly.
Well, you know you're hitting people and running hard when you're breaking helmets, Paul. I mean, that's big time. That's great. Good to see.
Midway through the final quarter, 10-7 Vikings. Sloter, shotgun. Vikings 0 of 7 on 3rd down. Sloter passes right, make it 0 for 8. Chad Beebe, the intended receiver, and Ryan Quigley is in the punt.
Paul, and I think when you take a step back and watch this film, the Viking offense, one of their takeaways is Jacksonville does the same kind of thing that our defense does. And by that I mean aggressive, tight coverage by the safeties, by the corners. They're jamming receivers at the line of scrimmage. They're as physical as the rules will let you be. You don't see guys getting off the line untouched and guys running free underneath, and it messes up the timing of an offense. And Jacksonville has been very successful in messing up and slowing down or putting off that timing of this offense.
Shane Wynn deep for the Jaguars. Ryan Quigley's punt goes to Wynn. Heels on the 9, looks to the right, goes to the left, and is tackled and taken down at the 18-yard line. Antoine Williams with the tackle, 47-yard punt, 9-yard return. Vikes lead by 3 on the Vikings Entertainment Network.
Ignite your passions.
Entertainment Network. Capture the magic of the 2017 NFC North champion Vikings with your official 2018 Vikings yearbook, available now at VikingsYearbook.com. Last time the Vikings played a football game in this building, a miracle transpired. Keenum to Diggs, divisional round, head to Philadelphia, lose the NFC title game. Kessler back to pass, trailing by 3, fires right, caught and stopped immediately. Wynn stopped immediately. The last football game played in this building, period, was Super Bowl 52. But how about this divisional round moment, Peter?
It's where legends are made, Paul. I mean, you're sitting there watching this game and you're looking at the last 30 seconds and you're thinking, how did the season come down to this? And then the improbable happens. And for Diggs to catch that ball and to stay in bounds and for New Orleans to let that happen, it was exactly what it's been termed. It was a miracle.
Receivers left and right, 2nd and 7 from the 22. Wilds the ball carrier, spins away from Weatherly and spins to a first down. So the last football game played here, Super Bowl 52, excellent game between the Patriots and the Eagles. And that guy, Stephon Diggs, is hoping to play a Super Bowl in Atlanta next year. You know, he and Adam Thielen, the end of this season, that is. You know, he and Adam Thielen, arguably, I mean, certainly one of the best 1-2 receiving combinations in the NFL. Thielen with more than 1,000 yards last year. With Cousins and DeFilippo, how do you think they'll be utilized and how do they complement each other?
Well, I think they're more similar than they are alike in that they're a little bit smaller. They're not huge bodies, both quick. Thielen has the sure-handedness. That's what you like out of him, is that you throw the ball his way, he's going to catch it. Diggs, I think, has a little bit more of the over-the-top type speed. And with the way our running game looks, Paul, with the zone blocking up front, where our offensive line is turning left and turning right, you're going to see Cousins get a lot more on the bootleg, a lot more on the edges, and get the ball to the outside. And so that'll allow Thielen and Diggs to get a little bit more on the edges. And we still haven't seen Kirk Cousins take a shot deep, and that's where Diggs, that's where he lives. He loves getting that ball over the top and getting it deep, and double moves, things like that. Very versatile, both those receivers. It's hard defensively when you have two threats, because you can shut one down. Schematically, you can do what you have to do, shut one down, but that leaves the other guy wide open, and both of these guys can beat you.
Corey Grant got the Jags a first down. Here's a big rush on Kessler, and it's a sack. Flag comes in late. It was a sack on Kessler by Antoine Williams, third-year Georgia Southern. Used to be on the Lions practice squad.
Well, I'm not sure what they're going to call here, but
personal foul, roughing the passer by the defense, number 56.
Got to see this.
Landing with his body weight on the quarterback. 15 yards, first down.
Take a peek, Peter.
Well, Mike Zimmer on the field saying no, no, no. I mean, it's been a rule that you can't land with all your body weight.
That's one of the worst calls I've ever seen in the National Football League, with all due respect to everybody involved.
Oh, and I have to agree, because
that's ridiculous.
Williams, he hits him in the middle of his back and drags him to the ground. So it wasn't as if Antoine picked him up and dumped him. He just brought him down from the waist level. So it just, the referees are getting a little bit carried away here with these personal fouls and with calling everything right by the book.
Ben, how do you handle that?
I don't know. I give up. Honestly, I give up. I mean,
we can't give up. We still got a regular season.
No. I have no more breath to try to analyze what these defensive players are supposed to do. Honestly, the hit was perfect, but now the referees are saying that it wasn't the hit, it was the driving force of the full body weight, which that whole new thing came out a couple weeks ago regarding the Aaron Rodgers and Anthony Barr hit.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the hit, it wasn't a helmet,
it
wasn't a proximity of where he hit the quarterback. It's that he followed through and put all of his body weight on him.
Kessler, deep shot left side on Holton Hill, incomplete, no flags.
Well, Paul, with the way this preseason's going, especially with this game, and by the book,
Pete, take a look at it again.
You're getting the play action fake, and Antoine Williams is wrapping him up, but he was on his knees when he brought him to the ground. So it's not as if his whole entire body weight came down on him. He had a knee on the ground already. I mean, the NFL, the answer, to talk and piggyback on Ben, it's like right now we don't know what you're going to do, but the NFL has to sit back, look at these plays, and say that's not a foul and this is a foul. and narrow the scope of what they're calling all these personal fouls on. I mean, it's
false start, left tackle, Jags. Well, you know what? Here's Sean Hockey-Lay.
Before the snap, false start by the offense, number 75. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Ben, Pete, I'm going to come to the defense of the officials for a second. Tell me what you think. Now, that Williams sack on Kessler, it's ridiculous in our opinion. It's any form of infraction. But maybe with everything that's being thrown at them, with the helmet rule, and what to call and when to call it, and the thrust, the force of throwing them down, maybe they're having to think too much during the course of games, and it's causing them to make mistakes.
No, I mean, it's something, and like I said, the lack of clarity and consistency of these calls is the huge problem that they're going to have to solve.
Kessler smacked, incomplete.
All right, well, to jump on that real quick, I mean, my whole thing is, then don't have referees that are unprepared and scared to make calls. You know, I don't want referees going in the regular season unsure and just only protecting their own assets by making the safe call. Err on the side of football.
I know.
Don't err on the side of not getting getting a demerit when you guys get graded out.
And Ben, what I hope is that we're witnessing a bit of an experiment where they're going to call these plays super tightly and then watch and figure out if it's interfering with the game, because the way this game today has been called, it has completely interfered with it. And if this was a regular season game, the outcome would have been hugely affected by a number of questionable calls. A couple against Jacksonville, that last one against the Minnesota Vikings, and hopefully the league is going to take all these plays, put them together, and say, all right, guys, this is what the penalty is going to be. This is not going to be a penalty, and you get a little bit more consistency going forward, because obviously this Hockey League crew is calling it by the book, and absolutely by the book, and it's taken away from the game big time, and it's not making it any safer. I don't think they're not, these hits that they're flagging are not the kind that are putting people in the hospital.
Boone, 19 penalties, 195 yards, 13 in the first half, 6 accepted penalties in the second half. And with the 19 penalties, those are accepted penalties. It's a gain of 7 by Boone. And another member, sadly, another member of the Minnesota Vikings has gone down. Now, this is Johnny Stanton, the undrafted rookie fullback from UNLV. A day, 6th-round rookie, Ade Aruna, the defensive end from Tulane. He went down, had to leave on a cart. They lost tight end Josiah Price for at least this game during the joint practices. There's Stanton, top of your screen. Offensive lineman Cedric Lang has gone down. Offensive lineman Josh Andrews has gone down. And now the newest to become injured is Johnny Stanton. I mean, you and Ben know more about it than me, man. I mean, you guys each played 10 some odd years in the NFL. And both you played in 2 NFC title games, and Ben played in 1 in 2009. I mean, you guys know with training camp and preseason, the A topic is let's not get hurt. Let's get out of it alive, get to the regular season. And it's just the injuries to the Vikings the last couple of weeks, and the Vikings aren't the only team sustaining injuries. But nevertheless, what we've seen has been a common thread. It's very unfortunate.
Well, I mean, look, judging from this injury here and the one to Colby Gossett earlier, that
Colby Gossett,
excuse me,
he got hurt.
The falling on the back of the legs. You know, that's it's a body. This is kind of a freakish injury right here, where you had a defensive lineman diving for the football, lands on the ankle of the running back, of the fullback of Stanton, and that's what you get. And they're air bracing it. They're putting the bag on it. I mean, it could be a sprain or maybe even a broken ankle as he gets up. But yeah, you could say don't get hurt, but you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater and say we're not going to hit, we're not going to touch anyone, and then the games and practices, Paul, nobody's ever on the ground, and you've seen that for the last couple of weeks. Is there hardly anyone ever on the ground? You want to stay up, but then you get into the games and people are flying around and tackling, and you got more people on the ground and more ankles are getting tied up. And these are a couple of freakish type injuries that I've seen so far today for the Vikings.
Well, I would agree that there are injuries that just are outliers, right? They're just unavoidable. You can't avoid them no matter what you do. But I do think that there is something in the fact that there's less practice time. there's even in practice, there's less live stuff or live to thud. Therefore, you can't rep that idea of being cognizant about where your feet are, of feeling that when players are going down all around you to pick up your feet. And that is something that you just have to learn by repetition, by being in practice, is that feel of where's the traffic, where's the trash, and how do I avoid it?
J.P. Quinn, undrafted from Central Michigan. He is the new center. Sloter, the quarterback. Boone, the tailback. Ben and Pete with Mike Boone getting a majority of the carries after Latavius Murray. Brock Thomas had that big game against Denver. Why, if you guys were to speculate, why do you think they're handling it this way and Boone's getting the lion's share over Rock Thomas?
I think today, and especially that last situation, they just want to move the chains. They want to get some physical running going. And this is a 4-minute situation, which means that the offense just wants to keep moving the chains, burn the clock as much as they can. That's Mike Boone's style of running more than it is Rock Thomas.
Boone averaging 8.5 yards per carry. BB in motion to the right, back to the left. Sloter. Boone encountered, taken down. 2:40 to go in the game. 10-7 Minnesota.
Well, to add to that, you know, I think that it's, in all fairness, for every player that's in a competition or a battle, is you have to get in there and get into a rhythm. And for Mike Boone to get a lion's share of the reps today, it's more about what can he do if we have to use him in the regular season as a third down guy, or as a third back. Can he take the workload? Can he get into a rhythm of the game, the feel of the game? You know, picking up the blitzes, catching the ball in the backfield, making guys miss. I've been awfully impressed by his foot speed, his low center of gravity, and the power at which he runs.
Take a look at Mike Boone and some of his activity today.
Great cutback runner, able to get the stiff arm and avoid the first tackler. It gets him down the field, and, you know, just north and south. Rock Thomas, a little bit more of a scat back, a little better receiver, so we'll see which one fits better in our system.
Jacksonville called timeout. 10-7 Minnesota. Jacksonville calls another timeout on that short run from 2nd and 11. That's Mike Boone, 44. Jake Winicky of Maple Grove wears number 9. With the Vikings playing Seattle in 6 days here at US Bank Stadium, it'll be a simulcast, 7 o'clock, Fox 9, KFAN Radio, and the Vikings Radio Network. But I'm hoping for the debut of Spicer, Minnesota native by way of Concordia Moorhead, Brandon Zylstra. You know, Zylstra was tearing it up at training camp, sustained an injury, missed the Denver game, started doing some things last week or the week leading up to this game, but not quite ready to play. Hopefully he plays against Seattle. I want to watch him play. Yeah. I think he has a legitimate chance to make the final 53. Boone up the middle. Short of the first down. Jacksonville uses its final timeout. 10-7 Minnesota. Brandon Zylstra, man, I can't wait for you to watch him play.
Right. You know, you've heard so much about him. He's taken the long road to get here through the Canadian Football League. And well, there's an old saying though that you can't make the club in the tub. That you've got to be healthy. And as dynamic as a player as some of these guys are and can be, if they have issues staying healthy, then that comes back. And now you look at Chad Beebe, Paul, who the last couple of games has had some opportunities. He's looked, he's shown up on film, and so Zylstra, you'd love to have him if he's more talented and a better receiver. But if he's not going to be healthy half the time or 3/4 of the time, then you got to go with the guys that stay out there and play and finish the games and finish the season.
Rashad Green, senior, 4th year, FSU, set to return the Ryan Quigley punt. Jags out of timeouts. Quigley's punt, very high. It's a spiral. Green, senior, with funny, a flag on the play. Takes a look at it, heads right, tripped up, thrown down. Good open field tackle by Trayvon Mathis, undrafted rookie from Toledo. 19 accepted penalties in this preseason game between the Vikings and the Jags for nearly 200 yards. Let's see if we can get to 20.
This is thrown the direction of Clayette, so either he didn't get back in bounds right away or the defender wouldn't let him and blocked him out of bounds. So that's usually the call, and they're trying to sort it out. The official the side judge already has his hat off, so that means somebody was out of bounds. And here we go.
Here we go.
Number 46 of the kicking team went out of bounds on his own. This 5-yard penalty will be enforced at the previous spot. We'll replay 4th down.
Hey, if you just joined us, some things that transpired early in the game. Of course, Kirk Cousins started for the Vikings, made his U.S. Bank Stadium debut in the preseason. 3 of 8, 12 yards. Trevor Siemian backed him up, 5 of 10, 46 yards. Kyle Sloter currently 3 of 4 for 19 yards. The only Vikings touchdown is running back Mike Boone. Boone plunged in for a touchdown, and Boone has 91 yards on 13 runs. Latavius Murray, 6 runs, 12 yards. He fumbled twice. 1 fumble he lost. Rock Thomas, 5 runs, 25 yards. Blake Bortles, 12 of 20, 159 and a pick. Cody Kessler, 8 of 11 and 50 yards. Leonard Fournette, 8 runs, 12 yards and a touchdown. And Quigley's punt nearly was blocked. Green Sr. shakes a tackle at the 40. He circumnavigates to the far side of the field with a vanguard in front of him. 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Green Sr. making Green Jr. and everybody in the Green family proud. He's down inside the 4 with 2:03 to go in the game, Green Sr.
If I've seen it once, you've seen it a million times. When you have to cover 2 kicks in a row, those legs get tired. People don't stay up. They're on the ground more. And
Green's in the black.
It was the pressure initially on Quigley when he let it go. I mean, that was the other big difference, was just a short punt, not a lot of hang time. Guys, again, on different levels. And I'll tell you what, Paul, the punt coverage team, for a number of reasons, has struggled a little bit this preseason. And
you do have 2s and 3s out there.
Well, that's true, but that's no excuse. That's how those guys make this team.
Right.
And, I'm not worried about the first team unit, but like I said, it's A leading to B, leading to C.
Right. 1st and goal from the 4. Wilds, middle, hit by Perry, stopped. 2-minute warning. 10-7 Minnesota. Jags threatening. Preseason game number 2 from Minneapolis on the Vikings Entertainment Network. It's Vikings football on the Vikings Entertainment Network. Kirk Cousins, Trevor Siemian, and everybody taking in the broadcast nationwide via NFL Network, locally on Fox 9, via the simulcast FM 100.3 KFAN, and also the Vikings Radio Network. Minnesota leads 10-7, and Jacksonville, following a long punt return, has its 2nd and a goal from the 1. Handoff, middle. Jags touchdown. Jags take a 13-10 lead.
Well, Paul, I don't think either team offensively has had a banner day. That's one thing to take away from this one for our offense, is just not being able to move the football. And
Brandon Wilds on the touchdown.
Well, it's the same play that they scored earlier with Fournette. It's just a double team up front on that defensive tackle, and have the running back push his way in right behind there. So they're being physical at the point of attack, whether it's their 1st, 2nd, or 3rd team offense. And it's special teams again that was helping us earlier. It cost us, I think, big on that drive.
Lambeau, and it's good. And Jacksonville has a 14-10 lead. The Vikings have 3 timeouts, 1:55, and Kyle Sloter to run down these Jaguars and win the game. And from a middle of Saturday afternoon standpoint, U.S. Bank Stadium, half as full as it was when we kicked off shortly after noon. Many people may be getting on with their August summer day, but to those in the game, specifically like Sloter, Jake Winicki, those Chad Beebe, those who will be playing, this is an important time. I mean, they're looking to open eyes of personnel, the personnel people not only here but around the league. And these guys are some of the most competitive people that you will find in any walk of life, and they want to win the game.
They do, and a lot of times it's about what you do in the games. It's not about how you practice. It's about what you can get done in the game. And I don't know how many players that I've known throughout my time in the NFL that didn't look so great in practice, but boy, when those lights came on, they were clutch. And this is the time now that the quarterbacks, a guy like Sloter, can prove that he's clutch.
Lambo's kick goes over the head of James for a touchback. Minnesota Lottery scoring drive following a flag. Brandon Wilds of South Carolina scored on the 1-yard touchdown. It was off a 56-yard punt return by Green Sr.
A lot of discussion here again.
Illegal formation, number 18 of the receiving team. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced at the previous spot. We'll re-kick.
So that is the 21st accepted penalty today.
Well, a lot has been made of the kickoff and the kickoff return and player safety. And one of the big things is making guys kick again. And when you have penalties like that that result in a re-kick.
They've elected to decline the penalty.
Okay.
The result of the play is a touchback. First down from the 25-yard line.
Well, it's nullified blackjack penalty number 21.
You're right. And you look at, you know, taking the collisions and things out of the kicking game and then having penalties that force you to re-kick the ball. I mean, that's putting guys in harm's way again immediately. But yeah, a lot of these new rules, everybody's getting used to them. It's a work in progress right now, Paul. And Mike Boone's back in, and we're gonna need to throw the football, but you might get a good run or two out of Mike Boone in the backfield, maybe a draw or something.
Right. BB off to the right. Sloter, shotgun, 14-10 Jaguars. 4-man rush for Jacksonville. Sloter, flustered, passes left. And that one is caught at the 29-yard line by Corey Robertson, undrafted wide receiver from Southern Miss, gain of 5. Minnesota has 3 timeouts, clock stops on that. Kyle Sloter, in his second year from Northern Colorado, started his collegiate run at Southern Miss as a wide receiver. Didn't want to play wide receiver, went to Northern Colorado with that nice arm, played quarterback. Spent the preseason last year with Denver, had a 220-yard passing game in the 4th preseason game against Arizona. And he throws a pass right that nearly was intercepted by Jalen Myrick, the former Gopher. Jalen Myrick, second year, University of Minnesota by way of Georgia.
Now that's just a communication issue on the outside, and right after the pass was thrown, you could see Sloter looking at the receiver, telling Corey Robertson that you got to break that thing inside. You got to get on the inside shoulder of that corner, and he just didn't do it. So that's what happens when you get those 3s and 4s in there.
Jaguars in nickel. Sloter under duress. Somebody's on him from behind. Rolls out to the right. Throws. Incomplete. On 3rd and 5. 14-10 Jags. 1:38 to go. Vikings Seahawks Friday night, 7 o'clock, US Bank Stadium. The following Thursday, Tennessee Titans. That one is at 6 o'clock Central from Nashville. Then a week and change later, back at US Bank Stadium to open the regular season against, we think, Jerick McKinnon, former Vikings running back for the Niners, out for a remainder of the preseason with an injury. Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers. 4th down, 4th and 5 from the Vikings 30. Sloter out of the shotgun. Blitz is picked up by Boone nicely. Passes right, caught, cold-blooded. It was caught by Jones at the 44-yard line. Excellent blitz pickup by Mike Boone. Triggered that connection.
No question, and that's what running backs are involved in offenses in a myriad of different ways, Paul.
Minnesota, they're first of the half. 30-second timeout.
And there are many running backs in this league who are unbelievable at just carrying the football. But you've got to be able to know the whole package. You got to be able to understand protections. You have to be able to block and get to the outside. And we saw that last year in the NFC Championship game, how important it is that a guy out of the backfield, in our case it was a tight end, but you've got to make those blocks on the edges, and Mike Boone able to do that there. So he's really showing up today. I'm very impressed, and if there's a preseason MVP on this team, for sure offensively, it's Mike Boone.
BB slot left. Sloter facing a 4-man rush. Passes left. Caught Winicky. Get out of bounds, Jake. And he did at the 50-yard line. Jake Winicky. Connection of 6 yards. 2nd and 4. 1:26 to go in the game. Jags with 0 timeouts. Vikings with 2 timeouts. And Jacksonville has a 4-point lead.
I think he got about 50 yards to go for Slaughter. I mean, he's been in this situation before, and it's fun to watch him getting in and out of huddle, calling the plays, talking to the players individually, telling them what they see. If they see this, you know, see A, B, you know, do B. It's fun to watch this kid try to get this offense down the field.
Slaughter, 4-man rush, quick hitter to Winicky, turns it up to the 40, and he's taken down at the 36. Clock runs. 120, 119, 118, gain of 14. Jake Winicky trying to steal the show on a sultry Saturday in Minneapolis. 14-10 Jags, about a minute to go. 1st and 10 from the Jags 36. Kyle Slaughter dealing. 3 receivers right, Winicky left. Slaughter passes over the middle, caught Chad Beebe. Tries to leap over a Jag, but he was flipped at the 22, gain of 14. 1st down, Vikings, clock stops.
Boy, Chad Beebe just so quick. You watch that move to the outside, plants his leg and gets underneath. You know.
Oh, but that Chad Beebe.
There's a lot of things about receivers and how to get open, and he definitely has the shiftiness, the underneath shiftiness to get separation and to get open. So
thank you.
I mean, the bloodline, you're welcome. The bloodlines put him
for what?
Here on the field. I don't know. He was thanking us for some reason.
Right.
Yeah. His bloodlines get him on the field, Paul, and he has a little bit. He's got some of his dad's moves to him. So I think it's exciting to see this competition.
You know, his dad used to put double moves on you and get to the end zone.
I never had to walk out and cover him, thank goodness.
1st and 10, Vikings from the Jags 22. We trail by 4. Slaughter looks right, sees nothing, steps up, hoists the white flag, goes down to the 25. Clock runs, 49, 48, 47. Loss of 3 yards. Minnesota with 1 timeout remaining. Kyle Slaughter wearing that white 1 in the center of his jersey, puts Mike Boone to the right. 2 receivers left, blitz is on, Slaughter over the middle, oh, incomplete at the 14. Incomplete at the 14-yard line. Tyler Hoppus, undrafted rookie from Nebraska, the intended receiver.
Well, Paul, to go back to 1st down, you know, you're about on the 20-25 yard line, and Slaughter, if he could throw the ball out of the back of the end zone, you're not going to get hit for intentional grounding. So instead of getting sacked and having all that time for those receivers to have to run back to the line of scrimmage, just chuck it out of the back of the end zone.
3rd and 13 from the Jags 25. 29 seconds to go. Slaughter, 3-step drop, looking left, passing left, caught inbounds at the 20. It's Hoppus. Final timeout utilized by Mr. Zimmer at the 16. So it'll be 4th and 4 for the Vikings. Peter, Kyle Slaughter.
Now Slaughter's he's hanging in there tough, and you know, when you go back and look at these drives, and every decision that they make is so critical. Again, I go back to that 1st down play. This would be a little different right here. You'd have a lot more time on the clock, and maybe I've already had a 1st down if he makes the decision again to throw it out of the back of the end zone. But that's the headiness that a veteran quarterback should bring, and these young guys, they've got to learn it. I mean, there's so much that the quarterback has to handle, not only physically but mentally as well. And Slaughter's doing a great job, but there's always more you can do.
Slaughter 10 of 15 for 82. Slaughter, shotgun, oh, he's hit, and he dropped the ball. It's a strip sack, big move by the Jags, and they just won the game. The Jacksonville Jaguars have defeated the Minnesota Vikings 14-10. Backside blitz. Oldest trick in the book, Peter.
Well, that was an all-out blitz. They sent the kitchen sink. They wanted to make sure.
Looked like Ben Lieber at K-State getting somebody.
They were going to go down in a ball of flames if that didn't work out. But you know, Slaughter,
I would have recovered that.
Really?
Yeah. I would have blitzed off the backside and got the ball out and recovered it.
Looked like Lieber on a backside blitz at K-State against the Jayhawks.
Or would you have been the guy to pick it up and take it 70 to the house?
No, I can't run.
All right, guys. Friday night, hopefully things are a lot cleaner than they were today. Had like 20 penalties. Only 3 touchdowns scored in the game. Only 1 by us. And Jacksonville has defeated the Minnesota Vikings 14-10. Kirk Cousins made his U.S. Bank Stadium debut, 3 of 8 for 12 yards. Can't wait to watch him v. Russell Wilson for maybe a half of football next Friday. Then the Vikings close the preseason against the Tennessee Titans from the AFC South. Then the regular season against the San Francisco 49ers. And we head to Lambeau Field for the first road game, week number 2. Pete, 25 seconds, you get it all. Final thoughts on today's game.
Well, I don't think either team's offense really came out and did what they wanted to do. 2 good defenses, but look on the positive side for Zimmer. Really, your 3rd game is your big rehearsal. You've got a short week. He can come out and say, we've lost this game, gentlemen, because of some bad decisions, some bad penalties. We've got to sharpen things up and get ready for Friday night. So I think it's going to give them that urgency they need.
An exclusive interview with Vikings head coach Mike Zimmer coming up shortly on the flagship FM 100.3 KFAN. I'm sure he'll talk about the fluidity or lack thereof of this afternoon's game and maybe some of the injuries and stuff like that. Otherwise, Jacksonville beats Minnesota 14-10 at U.S. Bank Stadium. Back at it Friday, 7 o'clock for the kickoff against Pete Carroll's Seattle Seahawks. For Ben Lieber, Greg Coleman, Pete Bursich, and the entire Vikings Entertainment Network and the flagship FM 100.3 The Fan, I'm Paul Allen. This has been a presentation